My name is Matthew Champ, and I've got daddy issues.
And my name's Chris Kingsbury, and I got daddy issues.
And this is Daddy Issues
with Champ and Kingsbury. Hello, Radio Land listeners.
Back.
Yes, we are back. This is episode 4.
Episode 4.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what? Awesome intro. I love our intro. That intro music, that little like retro vibe. You like. Nah, 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 nah.
Yeah, it's a good riff.
Yeah, my buddy Jacob, he made that for us.
Nice. Yeah, thank you, Jacob. That's a great riff, man.
He also made the one that we're doing as it introduces into the guest.
That's right. That's right. So, to you, Jacob. Yeah.
That's beer.
That's beer.
That's beer. Chris, what are we drinking?
We are drinking...
Off the hop.
Off the hop, we are drinking Whippersnapper.
Of course we're drinking Whippersnapper. We've drank these guys a lot,
yeah,
right?
Totally. But this is the Pride version of their beer.
Yeah.
Right? Each can is a different color. And each color representing a different color of the equality flag.
Yes.
And, I couldn't quite read it, but...
There's a story on the can. You can read it on every color except for yellow.
Yeah.
Because it's
white on yellow is not...
Chris is holding that up to the mic so you can see it.
Yeah, totally. You can. And there it is, the pride flag, and that's it. So,
but it's really cool. Whippersnapper, they do like a different beer, like a different specialty beer each week.
Holy shit, this is delicious.
I know. It's a stone fruit lager.
Wow.
Can you guess what stone fruit it is?
I don't know. I'm too stoned for that. No.
It's a joke, because stone fruit.
Stone fruit, yeah.
It's apricot.
It's
apricot. And you think apricot, I think of like that St. Ambrose apricot.
Yeah, St. Ambrose apricot, which is way sharper.
Doesn't taste anything like that.
No,
like, I love it. It's it's a little bit different, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got the tardiness to it.
Yeah, this is...
Tartness, not tartiness.
We're late with that
it's
joke
late.
as well. So... Yeah, no, that's good. Check out Whippersnapper and Facebook and all their socials.
We're hoping to have a comedy show with them.
Yeah, we're going to be talking some preliminary scheduling with them mid next week. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it'll be a part of more of the brewery tours. We also recently approached Stalwart Brewery out in Carlton Place.
Yeah, we were drinking their stuff before, I think.
We were drinking on the Minnesota.
Next week's Minnesota.
You'll be checked that out.
Because we talked about that.
It's good stuff.
This week we are interviewing. We're talking with. We're
talking with a good friend of ours.
We're chatting with a friend of ours. He's got his own podcast, the One Man Podcast.
That's right.
He's a stand-up comedian.
He's been a comedian for a very long time.
And how is he a dad?
He's not. Well, he's a dad by proxy, right? He's a stepdad, and he's had an on again, off again relationship with a woman he deeply loves, and we wanted to talk to him about the kids and factor in that, because that's a dad thing too.
It's been on again, off again since the kids were like pretty much born.
Yeah.
And now this is like 14 years later, so like he's been in their lives
for a long time.
How does that impact them, the family dynamic?
And how does it impact him as well, right? So, So now, it's a good conversation.
It's a long conversation, and we've definitely edited chunks of this conversation down. Maybe in the future, when we drop some bonus episodes, we might drop this one as a full length
episode, but to keep us time constraints.
Yeah, we ended up chatting for like well over 2 hours.
Yeah.
We've got over 2 hours of content, and not all of it is relevant. The first 20 minutes, Josh is a good friend of ours. Did we say his name?
Yeah, Josh.
Okay.
It's Josh Williams, everybody. Our guest this week is Josh Williams.
It should say so in the episode title. Anyway,
it should anyway. Yeah, absolutely. So,
but you know, he's got his own podcast. He's got a way that he does his podcast. He brought the recording equipment for us.
It was wonderful to work on, by the way.
He's not a fan of the free shout-outs to like the local breweries because he thinks that we should be getting paid for it. And so he kind of digs in a little bit off the top, and that's chill. We're just going to keep doing it our way because we understand
he doesn't want us to be corporate shills, but at the
same time,
we're talking about stuff we know.
We're talking about stuff we know. We're talking about stuff we like, and we're like, I'm going to go and buy buy a beer at Whippersnapper anyways, right?
Yeah.
And here's the thing: is like you build relationships with local businesses, they build relationships with you.
That's what business is, man.
And
Building good
we're
relationships.
working on building like a whole brewery tour in the city. It's like it's almost going to be competing with the clubs.
I don't know about that. It's just something we need to do for each other as comedians and Canadians. Just support local artists supporting artists, and that's
and bringing in good quality shows and allowing Ottawa to like showcase on those shows as well. So,
That's right.
So like that's part of what we're hoping to do. So you know what, if you're in the breweries, because I know that Whippersnapper said they're going to check out the podcast.
Yeah. You guys.
Hey,
his finger guns towards the mic that you can't see. All right.
But like, if you're hearing this and like, oh, well, we love all of you.
Yeah, totally. No, all equally.
So I just wanted to say, like, we make some jokes on this podcast about being corporate shills. We're not corporate shills, but we like what we like, and we want to share that with the world.
We want to share that with you guys. I don't think that's corporate chilling.
Yeah. Let's see what's on our to-do list.
We've covered Off the Hop.
We did cover Off the Hop, and we talked about editing to end the podcast.
Oh, what did
we talked about our guests.
That's right.
We acknowledged Jacob.
That's right. And now I guess it's what we do this week. No. That's later.
You know what? Here's the thing: is like you've kind of like had a bit of a week. Eddie's back to school.
Yeah, he is back to school, and everybody's full back in school. I think Minisode 2 covers that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the first week, and then
that came out last Sunday.
Yeah, right. So this week, I've started to work on him with homework because it's his first year of French immersion. And if he doesn't speak any French, and neither do I, that's the bridge we're going to get over together. So it's been interesting starting that routine once a day, right after supper, working for 15 minutes with him, and then just every day, just doing it. And it's just enunciation of like FA and like letters together.
Yeah. It's the start, right?
It's the start of everything. So,
like my niece is learning to count in like English and French together. She's 4, right? So, she's got like this little puzzle that counts out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and she like walks along it, and she'll do it in English, and then she'll walk along it and do it in French.
Nice.
So,
yeah. And to all the Francophone listeners, why did she have to do this French part second, eh? Why? Well, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, it's
we don't really have Quebec listeners.
No, we really don't.
Like we have a surprising amount of listeners in California.
Right on, California.
I'm wondering if it's like if they were looking for the other Daddy's Issues podcast that's based out of California, and then heard us like bashing douchebag McDermott and
Well, douchebag McDermott, did he get better? Is he better?
Yeah.
He was in a coma,
he wasn't in a
coma.
Oh, sorry. He was like, he had pneumonia. He had to go to the hospital.
Oh, pneumonia.
Yeah. The P. Pneumonia.
Pneumonia. No, it's good. No, yeah, maybe it's by proxy, but hey, thanks for listening, California.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out. Send us your info.
California, Idaho.
We still got
Utah, yeah. Michigan's been a big state.
Oh, Michigan. Yeah. Nice.
And it's like for our country here, it's been mostly BC and Ontario.
Oh. Nobody in my home province of Alberta is listening.
I think we're a little bit too progressive for your home province.
Yeah, well, doesn't surprise me.
Our first episode was about trans rights.
Yeah, they didn't want to hear any of that. So
if you haven't listened to that episode with Austin B yet, please go back.
Come on back and check that out. It's great.
So you've been doing homework. You've been learning French.
Yep.
You've been learning your fas and fuzz and luz and las and
c's and sa's and so it's been good. Z's and all etc. part like that. So it's pretty much. I knew I was gonna have to take a French course eventually. A way to procrastinate till my kid went to school. Woo!
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. We're taking Maddie to Oktoberfest on Friday.
Ooh. Why do I hear a tuba suddenly? Anytime somebody says like Oktoberfest, I hear like a tuba and like the pop.
So Maddie's 1 today or 1 month. 1 month.
Yeah.
1. She's 1 month today, and
it feels like a year for Champ because he hasn't slept much.
Oh God. Last year we bought tickets to Beau's Oktoberfest.
Right.
And Joel Plaskett was playing. Beau's is a great local beer. We love you, Beau's.
I love you, Beau's.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Joel Plaskett is a great Atlantic Canadian artist. I love you, Joel. Because, of course, he's listening to this. That was the night of the tornado. Ottawa had a tornado that touched down.
Yeah, that was a year ago.
And it destroyed Rory Gardner's house.
And it destroyed my one of the first rural grocery stores I ever went to when I moved from Alberta, Dunrobin Meat and Grocery.
Okay.
It that day I was actually at the fair and they hoarded us all off into the arena.
Oh right, because you guys kept drinking in the arena.
Yeah,
I was seeing updates.
Oh, man, that was great. I like this beer break brought to you by Tornado. Thank you. And then I was like, thank God nobody died because I'd have felt like a total asshole. Yeah. But I survived the tornado in '87. I was 7 years old. It was in Horlack Park before, or the East Side Park before it hit with my parents.
Okay.
And, my mom and my aunt were like, the sky is purple and green, we're leaving. And we left. And halfway home, the hail started, and we got inside, and the hail broke the front window, and then we got to school on Monday, and it was surreal seeing photos. I'd never really walked a disaster site. And then less than 5 kilometers from my house, there's a disaster site.
Well, that was the thing for us with the tornado. The tornado touched down 700 meters away from us, like just up Green Bank.
Yeah.
And we were on a bus out to Oktoberfest. It's an hour and a half bus ride. We get there just as they shut down, so they're like, buses back around, go back to Ottawa. So we're on a school bus and then our bus driver got lost. We were on a school bus for about 4 hours.
Wow.
We figured, because we heard that it touched down the West End, we're like, we have no power. So we got off downtown, went to a grocery store, stocked up, fucking hopped into an Uber, and came up. Our house was on the street, the only street in the West End of Ottawa that had power because we're on the hospital grid. We're right across the street from the Queensway Carleton, right? The only street. And everybody else was just pitch black. Like, all the side streets around us were pitch black, and they were down for days.
Yeah.
The
devastation from that tornado last year was massive. And it was massive in, 3 different areas of the city. So if you're not familiar with that, California, take a look at that and Google some of those images.
We survived it.
Yeah,
my therapist's house, she has a house out in the country that she was renting out, completely destroyed.
Completely
destroyed. I told you about the wood.
Right, yeah.
Because
it's actually right across the street from right around that corner of...
Yeah, because I said that you could have had the wood if you wanted it.
Yeah, I was way too busy to grab it. Barn board's awesome.
But their entire barn went down, which was insane. It was nasty. So... we didn't get to go, and so Bose offered us free tickets for this year.
Oh, that's cool.
And replacement. And so I'm like, to the kid, I'm like, so, do we go?
Yeah.
So we're not going to take the bus. We're going to drive out, and, I'll drive there, she'll drive back, because she's not going to have more than half a pint of beer, if that, right?
Yeah, if that, yeah.
But it's going to be, and we got, these little soundproof headphones for the baby. So baby's first beer fest.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. There's some photo ops.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
She'll definitely be puking. Two champs that night will be puking. Yeah. Baby Champ and probably Matthew. But definitely Matthew. Baby Champ might work out.
I'll be fine. We're doing Renfrew the next day.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we're doing Renfrew.
Yeah, it'll be it's not really billed as a daddy issue show, but
we just kind of...
There's a host and 3 comics, and we're 2 of those comics, so it's kind of like a daddy issue show.
Yeah, it's not gonna turn into a bumping mics thing. It's actually just gonna turn. That'd be kind of weird if it happened though. just sitting up there and Renfrew, just be like,
I'll just be screaming from the God mic during your set. You can scream from the God mic during my set.
Yeah.
This will be my first time getting back on stage since the baby came.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's a month break.
It's been a month. It's been a month since I've been on stage. I feel a little bit rusty. I want to shake off some rust. A club booker in New York City reached out to me and said that he was watching my tape this week. So, I've got my fingers crossed that I might be going back to New York in a little bit.
Listeners, if you can come up with any people who will work in a trading system for expunging a criminal record check, please get back to Dad Issues and Champ Kingsbury.
We'll talk.
We'll talk about that later.
I was going to say we'll spend an episode talking about your life, because your life is very dramatic. But Christopher needs a pardon. I'm trying to be polite. Christopher needs a pardon. Pardons cost money. We are not crowdfunding your pardon off of this.
No, definitely not.
I don't know if that's illegal.
I don't think so either.
But anyways, that's what's keeping you from coming along. But I might be just hopping on a train, going down, doing an audition, hopping on a train, coming back up. That might be
makes
what
sense.
I do.
No, that's great.
I'm not ready to leave for weekends. I got my first smile today.
Yeah, no, that's huge. That's huge in your week for sure. First smile, that one's always great.
She wasn't even shitting her pants.
Even better.
I know. Because you can never trust that that's a real smile when they're shitting. Because, you know, it's more of like I'm relaxed. It's not an I acknowledge you smile. But this was legitimately like she was crying. I picked her up. She looked up and saw that I was holding her. And then she put this big smile on her face and fell back asleep. So.
Oh, that's sweet. That's good.
I go back to work next week. I'm not ready, you know?
Oh, yeah, no, that's...
Paternity leave, guys, take it. We have a government right now, at least for the next 2 months, 30 days. Sorry,
but it'll be a couple months before they can change those laws anyway. So we have it for a while.
We've got this great thing where you can take an extra 5 weeks. It tops up to 40 weeks of parental leave together. You can take 20. Your wife can take 20. You just have to take a minimum of 5. I took 5, but I took a week off unpaid as well.
Yeah, I mentioned that in episode 2, I think.
And so do it up. I've really loved this time. I wish I didn't have to go back.
Yeah, take it. Take it if you can get it, guys.
All right, we need to start this episode.
Yeah, so here it is. Josh Williams.
Great guy. Check out his podcast, the One Man Podcast.
He's got lots of episodes.
Yeah, he's over 100. Later days. Wait, later days.
Later days.
We'll see you in
it's late in the day.
We'll see you in 15 seconds.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. In the studio with us today, we have a good friend of mine, a very good comic, known for a long time in the city. His name is Josh Williams.
He is. He's got a podcast, the One Man Podcast, which just hit 100 episodes. Congratulations, Josh.
Thanks. Like 2 or 3 months ago, but yeah.
Yay! Go podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey,
thanks for having me on the Daddy Issues podcast.
Welcome to the Murder Room.
So you guys call it?
Yeah, this is the murder room.
It doesn't look like a murder room. It looks like, definitely the artwork on the walls looks like you could be a serial killer at some point, like a fascination with comics.
It's a murder room in training.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the old Chuckles for Chio poster.
Yeah. This is the first time my face was ever on a comedy poster.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, good for you.
I was only 6 months into comedy.
I'm opening a beer that shall remain nameless until they pay for advertising.
Actually, no, we do talk about the local beers. And
do they give you any money for it?
You know what? Here's the thing: is we did get free
money
beer
from Vimy.
Okay, if they give you free beer, then that's fine. As long as they're giving you something for it. If you have to go and spend your own money and then they want free advertising, fuck them.
No. Here's the thing: is we're drinking locals all the time, and we want people to know, go support local.
Fuck that.
No, Kitchissippi. No, go drink Kitchissippi.
You can say support local without giving them free advertisement. I'm sorry, Kitchissippi. It costs you 20 cents a can for this stuff. Give them free beer. But again, if they're giving you free beer,
Vimy gave us free beer.
Who the fuck is Vimy?
Vimy Brewing Company.
Okay, so then you say their name. If these guys, if you had to go out and buy this yourself, it's I feel the same way with wearing baseball hats that say Nike. It's how much is Nike? The billboard companies aren't going, hey, Nike, we'll just put your stuff on it because we love it. They pay for that. They pay for it everywhere else. But then people are walking billboards and they go, oh, I'll pay you to advertise for you. Fuck that.
You know what? It's going to get to the point where we are branding our children by naming them after products.
It doesn't have to be that great. Yeah, some people probably Apple,
right?
Yeah. There you go.
But I'd like to name my child Best Buy.
I just think, here's the thing. We know it has value, right? We're being advertised to all the time. Even your news feed on Instagram, there's advertisements, and we get it. People are paying for that.
100%.
So why would we give other people's shit away for free? Here's the thing. If you ever wanted Kitchissippi to sponsor you, why would they? You're already advertising for them for free.
All right, you heard that here first. Go fuck yourself, Kitchissippi.
No. But just any person that wants to advertise. Yeah, I go to a restaurant, and occasionally I'll say the name by accident. But for the most part, I'm no, if you want me to advertise your business, if I had a good experience, if somebody fucks me over, I'm saying your name. I'm saying your name. Enough. I'm letting everyone know. Because if you hurt me, then I'm visceral. No, I'm giving the wrong impression. Maybe anyone who's never seen me perform or anything. I'm not a bad guy. Here's the thing. You know what it is? No, here's the thing. You know what it is? I love Chris and Matt, and I just want you guys to do very, very well. So at the end of the day, I want you to have sponsors so that you have that shit. So
thank you, Josh.
Yeah, I want you guys to win. I don't want Kitchissippi to lose or anybody else to lose. I just want you guys to win. So in the meantime, every episode they will be enjoying local beers. If those local beers would like to be better known by the local public, they can drop a
Vimy Brewing Company.
Yeah.
Starting with Vimy Brewing Company. Yeah. Loretta and Gladstone.
We'll just keep drinking different Vimy beers until someone else is like,
just say to like I've got Summersby is a sponsor on my podcast, nice. And they give me free product. I call them, they give me the free product. That's perfect. You're saving me money. I'm fine with that, and I'm more than happy to plug their stuff. But if anyone else is like, hey, do you want to just mention? Not a fucking chance. I drink scotches and stuff. I do not say the name of the scotches. Those companies can send me a bottle.
Because they're the cheap ones.
They're the fucking expensive ones. And I
just discovered scotch actually this year.
Just heard of it?
No. For my palate. Thanks, literal arsehole. All right. So.
I've been about 2 years, maybe 3 years drinking scotch. And before it was garbage to me. It was nothing.
I've only just started sipping it myself. Like it's before I have to take it as a shot, and that's ruining scotch.
Oh yeah, there's no point.
Yeah,
there's no point. If you guys don't, can I share my first scotch experience with you? I know it's daddy issues, but fuck it. If you fathers are out there looking for a way to unwind.
This is a daddy issue.
How do I drink like a gentleman, not look like I have a problem in front of my kids? Scotch is a good option. So this is what happened with me. I don't mean to name drop, but a friend of mine, Paul Verzi, very successful comic in New York.
I met him.
Paul was here doing shows at Absolute Comedy with me, and he's like, dude, we got to go.
They didn't pay us. They were doing shows at a comedy club.
At a comedy club? No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Absolutely.
No, but so we were doing shows. Paul, after the shows, like we got to go have a cigar. Now, I will say that there's only one place in the Ottawa area that you can go inside a lounge and smoke a cigar. I will not name that place. I haven't paid anything.
No.
I'm saying you can still tell the story. It's not like naming the place makes a difference. But that place tell them. Nope.
It's a location piece.
Yeah, show me the money, right? There's Jerry Maguire up in this piece. Anyways, so we found out that there was a particular spot where you could go. It's the only place within driving distance, 25 minutes, and it's actually in another province.
Oh.
So the rules in Ontario, for anyone listening, if they I want to go to you got to go out of province. So if you're listening somewhere in Ontario, odds are you're screwed.
Yeah.
Because I remember Paul and I were months later in Toronto. There's no place. There's cigar shops, but nowhere where you can sit in a chair, smoke, have a drink like a gentleman. No, out in the street with the other goddamn animals. Anyways, I'm looking at you guys' body language, and I'm like, I don't know if Chris is just high. Or
mostly
he's just staring at a fluorescent light, which is what I imagine like most of the people in cubicles listening to this right now are doing. Like if I threw my shoelaces over that and hung myself, would it hold my body up long enough to kill me?
No.
You know what I mean?
No, I don't think it would.
That one wouldn't, but I'm thinking of the cubicle people. They've even got them behind the
cubicle people seek help.
They have the plastic. Yeah, they have the plastic covering the fluorescence.
I am taking
so you can't
clients,
do the
cubicle people. I am taking clients.
Yeah, there you go. You gotta stay healthy mentally. But here's the thing. We go to this lounge,
right? And
he's like, you gotta try, a cigar with me. You can smoke a cigar, and absolutely, for sure, I've smoked cigars. I wasn't big on them, but I'll smoke a cigar. And he's like, you gotta have a scotch with it, no problem. So I'm just with my friend. Whatever he wants to do, happy to oblige. You guys know the feeling, right?
Yep.
If you're a good person.
Yep.
So we're having I think I got a Lefroy 10. I have to explain the story because Lefroy itself is a very peaty scotch. It tastes like smoke. I didn't know that. Okay. And here's the thing. Because I was smoking a cigar when I tried this nice scotch, it's almost like, when you eat sweet and drink sweet, it kind of like cancels out the sweetness.
Yeah.
Well, because I was smoking a cigar, I had the smoky taste in my mouth from the cigar. I actually didn't taste all the smokiness in the scotch. It was like it took off that whole big, thick top layer of smoke.
Yeah.
And I got to taste all the subtle like vanillas and caramels and things like that and its citrus notes.
Neat.
Yeah. And I was like, holy shit, no wonder scotch is so this is amazing. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I've tried cheap whiskeys, but this is like $100 bottle. I'm like, okay, this is very nice. Later that week, we did it a second time. Same thing, different cigar, but same taste with the whiskey. I was like, this is fucking incredible. So a few months later, I wanted to go for my birthday. I asked my friends to come with me. We went, and there was a lineup to get into the lounge portion, so we had to wait in the bar up front. I ordered the scotch, tasted it without the cigar. Jesus Christ, it tasted like someone poured water into an ashtray. Do you know what I mean? Like all I could taste was the smoke.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, thank God I tried it with the cigar first because I know that there's something different. And then once we got into the room and I started smoking the cigar, finishing it, back to that good taste. Like it was like the canceling out. So
it was a good a primer.
Yeah, it was good. Absolutely. Because you're like, oh, okay. Like if I had just tried it with the burn, because I've tried other whiskeys too, where it just tastes like burn, fire. You're like, well, I don't know why you'd want to sip on that. You know what I mean? I'll just drink gasoline or whatever if I want to burn my face. It's like it's almost like sipping a hot chocolate that's too hot. It just like fires your mouth, and you're like, okay, well now I don't taste anything.
Yeah.
Right. So, anyways, long story short is if you're interested in Scotch, I would almost say if you are willing to indulge in something like a cigar or whatever, that'll give you an idea. Because once you taste that stuff underneath, see, now I don't even mind the Scotches that are peatier. The smoke doesn't bother me as much because I know how to look past it for the other things. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's nice. And Scotches or whiskeys are the most versatile of all spirits. Like vodka tastes like rubbing alcohol. Rum is like sugar rubbing alcohol. You know what I mean?
Tequila.
So like Bernie rubbing alcohol. Yeah, exactly. It's just a lot. And there's not, I mean, you can have like golds and browns. Like, and obviously rum, you get the spice, the dark. There's some subtle differences, but overall, it's not a vast night and day. Whereas like the things that they make whiskey out of, the kinds of barrels they age them in, where in Scotland it's made, the type of peat and whatnot that they dry them. It's just crazy. Anyways, long story short, very long story short, and I apologize, gentlemen, is that I enjoy drinking Scotch, but had I not had the right entry into it, I would have been like, this just tastes like smoke, and why would I pay $100 for fucking ashtray water? You know?
Fair enough.
You can get it free at your auntie's place. Yeah.
Pretty much. That's all I'm saying. All right. I hope this was a great. Thanks for having me on the podcast, guys. I'm getting a job.
All right,
this is Scotch with Josh Williams. No, actually, Josh, let's kind of Scotch Williams.
I do that. Is that a good stage name? Hey guys, here's Scotch Williams. Hey everybody, how's it going?
It's got a glass of Scotch, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay. So to speak about Scotch comics and what do you call it? Product placement. Did you guys see Ron White's special where he's drinking and he's got a decanter on the stage and someone yells, "What are you drinking?" And he goes, "I'm not telling you. They didn't pay for it. They didn't give me this bottle. If they gave me this bottle, I'd be drinking it out of their bottle."
I did not see that.
Yeah. So that's a perfect, right in the middle of a special, a perfect example of saying like, you want to know what I'm drinking, eating. I rip the labels off my water bottles and my beers when I drink on stage.
Really?
Yeah. If I can, some bottles that it's printed on there, but if I can take the label off, again, why am I advertising for you? Everyone's at a bar drinking, right? There's value to that. If everyone's like, oh, the comic's drinking Budweiser, which I never would. But yeah, the comic's drinking Budweiser. It's like, no, I'm not advertising for you. Look, this is the beer I drink. You should drink this. People are impressionable. Fuck that. There's value to it. You want me to drink your shit? You got to pay me, boy. Not a lot. Not a lot. Just make it worth my while. Send me a case.
Just send me free shit.
Just for me free shit. I'm not like I want to own a fucking storage locker with unlimited. I don't want that. Give me a fucking 2-4, which costs you nothing, right?
Do you know Kathleen McGee, the comic, right?
Yes.
She got a tattoo of like the day that McDonald's started all you can eat all day breakfast.
Yeah, no, it's
and
great.
then McDonald's sent her a bunch of free shit for it.
Did they really?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing too. Like I had a day where my
I'll
McDonald's.
bleep out those McDonald's.
No. You know what I'm saying? I also think McDonald's is never going to sponsor a podcast. They're like, we have billboards in Times Square. We're doing just fine.
Exactly.
But the local, you want to support local? Well, you guys are local. Why can't they support you back?
Fuck yeah.
Right? Anyways, I'm not going to turn this isn't the marketing. This is part of me. This is kind of me. I mean, I don't want to work, so I need to get as much free shit as I can.
Fair enough.
So I can spend more time
Everybody
creating
likes
content.
free shit.
So let's talk a little bit more about you, Josh.
so sorry.
All right.
Dude, daddy issues, burping contests are still funny. I'm very sorry for the women listening and the few proper gentlemen who are like, oh, my word. I tune into these obese men to listen to their issues on fatherhood. I did not expect oral flatulence.
Flatulence of oral, worst episodes ever.
I was quite enthralled with the Scotch and the marketing perspectives, but once they started,
I guess we'll talk about families. Fucking
we're in the middle room. You guys can't smell the burp hot boxing that we're doing in here.
It's really great.
Yeah,
I like that you got like a Chinese. Asian can you if something's Chinese, can you even say Chinese? People, I get polarized. My mom will say there's a Chinese woman who lives across the street, and I'm like, don't you mean Asian, mom? Like, how do you know I'm like interrogating my mother, even though I know there's no hate in her heart at all. I'm like, no, she's from China. She's Chinese. I'm like, I still don't know if you can say that. I just think that, like, especially when an old person says it.
I have no idea what to call this.
It's like the Asian screens that they change behind, like a geisha screen.
I'm going to go with.
See, you can hear that. That's
Rice,
why I was
paper,
wearing headphones
wall.
is a good
Rice, paper,
thing.
wall.
By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed the instant jump in quality of this episode.
Hey, I was going to talk about that right off the top, but you just went straight into Scotch and marketing.
Do
Josh,
it.
and
Do it. I'm having fun already. I hope you guys are having fun.
We're recording off of Josh's podcast stuff because we're still figuring out our own shit and the technology aspect.
We also like
of
to
it.
buy lots of beer and other alcohol, so saving up.
Saving up for this machine is going to take
Pretty
us
much
a
the
little while.
fucking Cadillac of what you're doing with it.
It's pretty cool, right? It's
Yeah, I
small.
know, it's small.
The setup's very minimalist.
Yeah.
But we're all attached like full studio here, and it travels well.
Yeah. I got the screen from my girlfriend's brother's wife.
Partner, you gave me a big spiel.
Yeah,
Partner
I say.
earlier.
Well, I was saying girlfriend because you gave me a huge lecture about how
Huge. I said one sentence. And it might have had
How
only
you said
5
that.
words in it.
How
I
you
said
said
girl.
that.
it felt huge. It
You're like,
felt
partner
huge in the
feels like
moment.
we're equals. I'm like, and girlfriend doesn't. That was my big speech. I'm like, and girlfriend does. 3 words was a big spiel for you.
Well,
how bad is the relationship?
Doesn't
where 3
is
words
a,
in a
doesn't
sentence
is a preposition, right?
What?
So it's really like it's a or not. Preposition.
Yeah, don't try to science your way out of this one, Matt. It was 3 words in a sentence, and you acted like it was a TED Talk.
You know what? It felt like a
Gonna
TED
be a
Talk.
big lecture.
It's actually
Maybe
the
because
least
you
amount of
internalized-
words
yeah,
you've
you-
ever said to me
Yeah.
at one time, but I'm just like,
You're like, this is the biggest
that was too
lecture I've
much.
ever had. I said infinitely more on why you shouldn't say names of companies on this.
all right. Let's talk about you.
I'm not in a hurry. This is gonna be your longest episode ever because it's gonna be fun. Look at Chris, his poor face. He's already like, no.
He's like, I want a nap.
I'm not saying your other episodes aren't fun, by the way. I realize how that may have come
We've had
across.
some great episodes, and thank you for coming in
Yeah.
today for sure. And what we're talking about here is like grown up. We want to kind of focus on the you're raised as a single parent. I was also raised with a single parent.
Yeah, and you know my mom.
Yeah, I know your mom.
Yeah.
We were on TV.
My mom
show
loves
together.
you. My mom loves you.
I-
She can't for the
Paula's
life of her
awesome.
get your last name right.
Oh, really?
She always says Chris Kingsdale. I'm like, where?
Kingsdale?
I'm like, that's how you get half his name right. D-A-L-E aren't even part. None of those letters are even in the last bit of his name. It's
Definitely
Kingsbury.
not. Kingsbury.
What the fuck is a
Kingsbury.
Kingsdale?
I don't know. Probably like
Is it a
a side
bird?
street. Yeah,
Is it a
Kingsdale.
kingfisher or something?
If anybody's listening, please send us what a Kingsdale is.
Yeah. And then people just send you pictures of you. No one can get your
The
name right.
occasional one with Marv and shit. And, this guy right there. Yeah.
Chris Kingsdale.
Kingsdale.
I like Kingsdale better. Can you change your name? No.
Daddy issues with Champ and
Go
Kingsdale
full crunch to it.
going forward.
But only you. Everyone else in the family has to keep. They all took your old name, and then you're like, I
Change
upgraded.
mine. I upgrade mine.
I gave. It's like a car. You get married, you give everyone the car, but then you buy a new one. You're like, that's the family car. They drive the Kingsbury. I'm in the Kingsdale.
Yeah. It's an MG.
Sorry, you guys were talking. I apologize, but
No,
yes,
it's
we have worked. I was raised by a single mother.
That's right.
Were you raised by mom too?
Yeah, I was raised by mom too.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt?
I had
Wolves?
both my parents. Yeah, they were wolves.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I got nothing else.
You
on
got
that.
nothing
I'm
else?
sorry.
It's okay.
No.
You don't have to apologize.
So yeah, my mom had live-in boyfriends for a while.
Okay.
Like in and out, in and out. I remember never feeling like that guy was my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it was like he was my older brother. Like that
Okay.
kind of a relationship
Yep.
to it. How do you see yourself with your relationship?
With my mother or with Crystal and the kids?
Well, yeah. Did your mom ever have suitors coming as well?
So my mom was.
Let's
was
talk
different.
about the sexual history of your mother, Josh.
Feel free to listen to my episode of the podcast where I interview her because I
Oh, okay.
straight up talk about her sexual history.
Oh, shit.
She's like, well, I don't want to talk about that. I go, well, that's the question, Mom. You can sit here and answer it, or we can sit
Way
here
to
in
fucking
silence.
Dan Rather. Fuck.
No, but no, my mom's got a good sense of humor. Like, there's a reason I have the sense of humor that I do. Like,
Yeah,
my mom's
absolutely.
got a good sense of humor. But so okay, and here I just want to ask this before I get started. Like you guys, have you guys ever interviewed each other? Like, have you asked those questions to yourselves? Did you guys ever do that? Because if I ask you now, I don't want to be like having you tell a story.
No,
you've
you know
already
what?
told.
We haven't really gone into like because this is only going to be
This is perfect.
episode 4.
Oh man,
Yeah.
the good one.
Yeah.
The first episode that doesn't make the podium. You know what I mean? 1, 2, and 3, they get to stand on the podium. Number 4 just
Hey, the
stands out
podium
on
moves. The
first-
podium can move.
Oh, of
You know what
course,
I mean?
of course. Not in terms of
I could make
rankings.
this episode 5 or 6 or 7.
No, buddy. Just save it for a quiet week. You're like, oh, look at it. No, I'm kidding. I really am kidding. Audience that thinks I've been nothing but arrogant. I just love these guys, so I know I can just be goofy with them. But my mom never she had a couple boyfriends. They were all long-term. Like, so when you said like live-in boyfriends or whatever, like I was going to ask you, like, how long would you say the relationships were on average? If you have to average like year, 2, 3 years, 6 months,
actually 5 years,
5 years on average.
On
like,
average.
Okay.
And then the other,
that's time to build a relationship for sure.
Yeah.
Like I've known other people who like their moms had like a boyfriend for 6 months and then gone. You know, my mom was always like, I can remember her dating like maybe 3 guys for as long as I've known her. Do you know what I mean? Like shy, like my parents divorced when I was like 1 or 2. And it's a funny thing because like when your parents are divorced, you almost just feel like that's the normal thing. So then like when you see people with parents, you're like, whatever. It doesn't really occur to you. But then when it's like, oh no, a single parent, that's like a different thing. Like that's not for everybody. It's funny too. I was born in North Bay, but I moved to Ottawa when I was 1. So like when I knew people in school who were like born and raised in Ottawa, I'm like, you were born here? Aren't you born somewhere else? Then you moved to the city you're going to live in? You're just born in the country and then they ship you like produce, you know? It's like
convoy.
Yeah. So it's just those funny things you think when a kid, like whatever your experience is, you just kind of think, oh, that's what everyone has. So my mom would have guys that she dated that we would like meet after a while. You know, like she never really brought them to the house. Like when we had babysitters, she would go and they would date for a while. My mom was big on like, I don't want my kids meeting someone, getting attached and then them leaving. Yeah. So she had like a couple, and I mean like a couple is like maybe 1 or 2 that like she just dated. We met them maybe once or twice before she left, but like never got to know them because they just didn't work out between them. So there was nothing to like miss. Oh, you mean that guy we said hi to once? Like we do the bus driver and the mailman? You know what I mean? Not to say she was fucking those guys, but again, you know, maybe you get your packages on time if you're fucking the mailman. You know, I'm all about tit for tat. You know what I mean? I've made that clear. So that was never a thing for me. Now she did have 2 long-term boyfriends when we were together. So, but it was more like we'd see them on the weekends. And as an adult, I'm like, oh, that's when they got together and did their thing. But it was like we'd met them a bunch of times first. So I there was never like. My mom told me this story on my podcast talking about like the sexual stuff or whatever. And she said she was dating a guy who came over one time, like, you know, in the middle of the winter. Came over, they were watching a movie together. They had, you know, a couple drinks. My mom was not much of a drinker. Maybe she didn't even drink. Maybe it was just him. But, you know, she's like, you know, this starting to snow. You might want to start thinking about going. He's like, nah, it's okay. The weather's bad. I'll just crash on the couch. And my mom's like, no, you won't. My kids aren't waking up to find some guy they don't know on the couch. You know,
maybe it's cold outside,
right? So he wasn't like big about it, but apparently, like that was it. He didn't get to stay, you know, and do his thing. So like he never called her back or whatever it is. But that was the kind of thing. So like my mom was very like my kids aren't just going to meet like Uncle so and so, and then 6 months later Uncle so and so again. Like, however, growing up, I was not with my dad, but my dad did that.
Right.
My dad would have a new girlfriend. And I don't know if it, like, I don't know if it was like, hey, new girlfriend, look at us. I got kids and I'm a good dad or whatever it is. But like your kids, like if you spend a night like hanging out with these sweet women, like my dad was really good at finding sweet women, you know, fucking sweet. You know what I mean? But they were sweethearts. But then, so like we would see them a few times in a period of time. And it's like, oh, this is a nice girl. And then just never again. You just never see them again. It's like, oh, we're we're not together. But what, like what can we say, you know, this is before cell phones and shit. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like kids today, they don't get that. But like, it's not like, oh, I have her on Instagram and Facebook. I can say it. Like, no, it's, I don't know even her last name. So I guess I'm just never seeing that person ever again. Do you know what I mean?
Or if you do, it's so far in the future and it's like just
I don't even
in a wind passing.
Yeah, and I don't, and honest to God, I don't think it's ever happened. Yeah. Unlike my dad also had like 4 wives. So I've got like half brothers and sisters kind of all over Canada.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So who I guess it's fucked up. Yeah. Like if we like I have no problem. I'm an open book. Yeah. So you guys feel free.
I've heard some of your podcasts. You are an open book. You've talked about some of this on your podcast. Or probably all of this over 150.
No, episodes. I don't. It's funny because this particular thing I haven't. To be totally honest with you. Like the episode my mom, she told the one story with the guy who wanted to sleep over, I think, but that was it. That was more her talking about her life experiences, not so much mine. So I don't know if I carry, like, I don't know if I'm fucked up from any of it. I don't think I am. It's more like knowing what I know about, you know, mindfulness and all of us trying to grow that I'm like, yeah, I don't know what my dad was going through. That was his thing, but it kind of sucks when you bring kids into that. Do you know what I mean? People who don't have a choice of whether, you know, how the relationship goes or whatever. So my mom was really good in the sense that she didn't want us to start relationships with people who may not be there in the future. My dad was the opposite. It was like, I'll meet my kids right now. And then when they were gone, I was like, oh, we'll never see that person again. You know, I don't remember ever crying myself to sleep or whatever, but you definitely felt disappointment knowing that, like, you know, when I was going to go see my dad on the weekend, I thought that person was going to be there, and then you get there and like, oh, and I'm never seeing them again. Oh, this sucks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and there's a new one even. There's a new one.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel that like that experience and how with your mom being more cautious than let's say your dad was, did you take that value more into your personal relationships than you did?
I don't
Devil
know.
May Care, shag.
Here's the thing. Just generally speaking, as a person, like doesn't even matter the scenario. Truthfully,
yeah.
I don't go into any situation like I don't care how anyone feels. Like I care very deeply how people feel. Like I'll fuck around and I'll joke with people, but like I try to be careful to only do it with people who know me and stuff. Like I'm messing around with you guys, but it's because I know you. Like I would imagine that neither of you would think that there's any hate or animosity in my heart. So I can fuck with you guys. Know I love you.
We did fuck him out of Starbucks this morning, so I bet you.
No, you didn't fuck me out of Starbucks. You didn't promise it and then didn't. I just.
I thought we had coffee in our house.
That's okay.
I don't drink coffee.
Really?
No, I don't drink coffee. And Kate,
just straight up tea enemas.
18 days away from having a baby, so she's not drinking coffee either.
Fair. Well, it's funny because I've only in the last few years met like a slew of people who are just, no, I don't drink coffee at all. Like Simon was like the only one before like 5 years ago. Now it's just all these people, I don't drink coffee. Jason doesn't drink coffee. Like, I'm like, fuck, I thought everybody, and not to say like you drink it every day. Like I'm a habitual daily coffee drinker, but there's some people who are like, once in a while they'll drink it. They're like, I don't need it. But if I'm having breakfast out somewhere, I'm like, yeah, I'll have a cup of coffee or, go have a coffee while you're writing in a Starbucks. But no, there's people like straight up, you don't ever drink it?
I don't ever drink
You're
it.
A piece of shit.
My ex-wife never drank it either.
Maybe that's why it didn't fucking work out.
Yeah, you guys aren't coffee.
My brother bought her a coffee maker once for Christmas.
She served you divorce papers. I told you I don't like coffee. You never fucking listen to me.
That came later.
Sorry. I'm just kidding.
That's
much later,
later,
of course.
Much later, actually.
But
After a house. Anyway.
No, that's fine.
You guys have to open your own wounds on this podcast, man.
We're doing it with you now. We're bleeding together.
I'm happy, guys. Let's bleed as friends. We're gonna do that Harry Carey shit or whatever it is. Where you gut yourself and then someone cuts your head off. Can you imagine how shit? I think it's called Harry Carey.
That's seppuku.
Seppuku.
Yeah.
Is that the one? What's Harry Carey?
Well, that's just the bastardized American name for seppuku.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay. Well, I'm kind of a bastardized American.
I thought you were talking about like the Hare Krishnas, and I was like, I think you're saying them wrong.
No, Hare Krishnas. But it's funny. Yeah, can you imagine like you do the gut, you commit to the stomach stab and the slit across, and you're waiting for that blade behind you to fall, and they're like, nah, dude, April Fools or whatever. Like, that'd be the worst way to die. I don't know why you disembowel yourself to have your head cut off. Why? Sometimes energy will get too close to the cords. If you guys hear that buzzing, it's
I've been hearing it a little bit.
Auphonic will clear a lot of that shit out.
Yeah.
Have you started using that?
I did. I bought their 9 hours a month.
Let's not talk about advertising that's not free.
That's true.
Well, I'm actually having to pay for I'm paying for their services to help with this. So
yeah, exactly.
Let's scrub their name.
Yeah. It's too much. Yeah. It's too much extra stuff. Yeah. So I don't know. For myself, when it comes to stuff like, do I take those experiences and count for them? Really, at the end of the day, I sounds so stupid. It doesn't sound stupid. I'm being insecure about it. I try to consider all my actions when I'm dealing with things. Is like I'm meeting a new person. Like, how do I want to make them feel? Like, it's the same thing. Jesus Christ, that would sound horrible. There's a lot of different people with a lot of different personality types. Let's put it this way: development stages in life. Okay, so there's adults who are not as bright as other people. There's people with special needs. There's kids. I just kind of go, okay, in this scenario. Like when Crystal and I first started dating,
right?
It was difficult because I talked to the kids. I came in at 4 and 2, so I didn't have to do the diaper stages or anything like that. Okay, I skipped that. So as a stepdad, I skipped that. But like you're trying to explain things the way you would explain them to an adult and just expect the reasoning to be there. And you kind of have to learn through life, trial and error, how to reason things. Like talking to a kid like they're supposed to understand, here, you don't do this because later your stomach's going to hurt. You're like, what? There's no such thing as future. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? There's no future. It's not like, if I do that, cause and effect. You don't have that. I want this now. And so, that's it. Yeah. So I always tried to adapt, like, who am I talking to? What's the best way? Like, we're comics. Yeah. So our whole job is to make things relatable. Well, that's what being a parent is. How do I explain what I'm trying to explain to this person? What's the best way for them to understand it? So I never went in like, hey, I need to meet the kids. Whatever. Crystal and I were seeing each other for a while before I first met the kids. And I went over for dinner one night. So I had dinner with them. I met the kids. It was funny.
How long had you guys been together before you met the kids?
3 months, 4 months, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah. And it was like, and at first we were just sort of hanging out because her and I had dated when we were younger. Like
Before
12 years old. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
We were each other's first boyfriend, girlfriend. We were each other's first kiss.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, it's the greatest story. Guys, move over, notebook. We got your fucking number here. We've separated and got back together more times than they did.
I was thinking that.
But the thing is, like it's everyone's just trying to figure out life. You know what I mean? We're all as Pete Holmes said in an episode of Hot Ones, like, we're all just tripping and getting back up and tripping and getting back up. You know, you gotta learn. It's okay to make mistakes. You know, everyone's like, oh, I made a mistake. It's the end of my life.
Well, you learn from mistakes, right? That's how you grow.
Exactly.
When you make mistakes, and if you're open to learning from them, that's how you grow as a human.
But our relationship definitely suffered. Like, so we were together, and I cared about the kids absolutely. And it's funny because at first, I don't know how it is for other people. I have been capable of being a very selfish person in my life, so I was and still am like totally head over heels in love with Crystal. And so at the time I was like, okay, well, you have kids and that's just the thing. Like, if I want to be with you, like, I'll learn. And I was kind of like, it's going to sound ugly. And this is not really how I felt about it, but I can't think of a better word for it. I just want to preface by saying that, but it was like almost like she has kids and I'll learn to, like, I don't want to say tolerate. Do you know what I mean? But I'm like, but I'll get along with the kids like buddies and stuff like that.
You'll learn to coexist.
It kind of feels like that, but I'm not like, I right after saying selfish, but I just mean like, I wasn't like, oh, you got kids, great, I love kids. Do you know what I mean? Like, that wasn't me. You know,
Let's go on a picnic.
I had no experience with kids, but I'm like, I'd love to meet them. They're important to you, and what's important to you is important to me. Does that make sense? Like, in a loving way.
Yeah.
So I want to learn. I want to be the best person I can be around these. She even said like, well, what do they call you? And I'm like, Josh.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, not like daddy. Like, I wasn't trying to go in and call me dad or call me any of this stuff. It's like, no, it's just Josh. I'm Josh. That's all I have to be. I don't have to. I don't know if it's like that with her. I've heard other step parents like, oh, call me dad and stuff, or boyfriends call me dad. It's like, I think that's an insecurity thing on the dude's part. Like, I want to be more important here. I want to be an authority figure or whatever.
It makes it about them instead of about the kid's comfort level.
Right? Exactly. And it's like, they have a dad. I'm not trying to confuse them and be like, I'm taking over the dad role. Like, I'm Josh, you know? And yeah, like listen to me, respect me, but I'm not trying to be anything. Like, you have a dad. I'm not trying to be your father. I'm just Josh, you know? But I mean, in time, like, this is also, we're going back almost 10 years. Like, that shit changes quickly.
Because they're like 14 and 12 now, right? Or
15 and 12. Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, I've watched them grow up. Like, I love them. I would protect them like they're my own. I feel like they're mine. Like, I say my kids all the time, and people who know me correct me. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if it's because I'm insecure or whatever about it, but when they correct me, it's almost like they're taking something away from me.
Well,
do you know what I mean? It's like, they're not yours. It's like, oh, okay, well, I love them and I care, you know? Like,
they're not of my blood, but they're my kin. So
it's like somebody. It's like if you were adopted and you're like, my parents. You mean those people that adopted you? Like, it's like, okay,
no, that's my parents.
Well, if you know that, or they're that important to me. You know what I mean? Like, well, why is the opposite? Like, why does that have to be correct?
You've had a significant influence in their development, and they've probably helped you grow as a human being.
Oh my God!
Well, right?
Like, no, Crystal and the kids have been the single best influencer on my life, even more than my own mother.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't mean that as a negative, but I'm saying that like my mom did the best she could, and I truly believe that. But she also, at the same time, like, she was a single parent who just moved to a city where she had no family, no money. Like, we were raised on social assistance. My mom made a lot of sacrifices so we had more money. But the thing is, my mom was also like, what can happen to people when they end up in a bad situation. My mom was a very angry person. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying she's abusive, but she could be at times verbally abusive, but it came from her own fear. Like, anger is fear. And it came from her own, like, upset and fear and not knowing where things were going to come from, whatever. So my mom was very easy for her to get upset and, you know, say shit. Like, we're not flying off the handle. I'm not trying to quote her, but it's like, we're not saying like, oh my God, you're a piece of shit. Like, it's like, not like that. But my mom would swear. And she would.
Good thing. Did you swear in front of the kids? We just had this on the last episode. Yeah. We just wanted a quick,
I tried not to, okay, but I'm yeah, I definitely did.
Yeah, we had Rodney Ramsey the episode drops today, the day we're recording, and it's all about swearing in front of kids.
So we just wanted to know you were positive in context, no hate speech, right?
Oh, fuck no. I wouldn't. My first
we were saying no verbal abuse.
No verbal
right?
abuse.
That's what we were talking. Well, and like that encompasses.
No, never said anything negative. Here's the thing though, I would yell. Like, the experience that I had, I paid it forward, like we all do. Like we all come from our own parenting experiences. So I didn't
bring with you.
I didn't say any of like the negative stuff. Like my mom would get upset and be like, basically like blame her life's problems on the fact that she had kids. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing. But like, again, my mom spent all of her time working and trying to earn money so that we could get off social assistance.
How many siblings?
Just my brother.
Just your brother. So there's two of you. Okay.
Two of us. That's it. I mean, tons of half brothers and sisters, but that's nothing to do with my mother.
No.
That's all my dad's side. So the thing was like, my mom had a lot on her plate, and I'm not trying to make excuses for her, but again, there's a lot of parents who like take the shit on their kids and don't take care of their kids. My brother and I never went without, but at the same time, that toll that it took on her, like at times she would pay it forward when she got angry and would yell. So yelling was definitely something that happened in my house. And so when I was a parent trying to like tell the kids to do something, like if they wouldn't listen, like yelling was the only thing I knew. That's what my mom did. You know, I didn't no spanking, never spanking. I never raised a hand to anybody. You know what I mean? Like but it was one of those things where like, you know, I'm one of those people for a long time. I'm like, well, I got spanked and I turned out okay. And then I look at my life, I'm like, did I? Did I turn out okay?
You're in a basement on a Sunday.
One of my mom's favorites. Yeah. One of my mom's favorite stories to tell is one where like my mom and my dad were together in the house, and I think she like told us, like, you know, my brother and I, it's like, if you guys aren't quiet, if I have to come in here again, I'm going to give you a spanking. And then, you know, she went off. My brother and I guess we're still awake. We're chatting. Whenever she came back in and said, you guys go to bed. I got studying to do. Go to bed. And then I said to her, you said if you came back in here one more time, you're going to spank us. I fucking called her on it. Yeah. I called her on it. And so she came over, she gave me a few whacks on the ass, and then starts to walk into the room, and I go, that didn't hurt. Like the fuck, I don't even know how old I was. I don't really remember that. And then apparently my dad heard me say that. He came in, he gave me a few whacks, and then I started crying because obviously I fucking hurt. And he goes, good enough for you, Josh? Yes. So I don't, like, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't
ever since, man.
I'm wick. Yeah, they give me an erection. No, I just think it was funny. Like, yeah, like my mom said that, like when he was hitting me, she like was wincing. She's like, oh, but I mean, you kind of have that coming. If you said you were going to spank me, that didn't hurt. It's just, but it's like, that is definitely like baby wolves trying to bite mama's face, and you know, that's trying to go for leader of the pack kind of shit.
That was your first memorable crowd work moment.
That's right. Came up my love of it, you know. You think you're gonna win this one? Yeah.
Next time,
it's basically the equivalent of the guy getting out of the crowd and punching me in the face. It's like my dad coming in,
slapping you in the
but it's just it's like I didn't know anything other than yelling and stuff. And here's the thing too, like as a human being, I had a shitload of anger in me that I wasn't even really aware of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like tons of fears. Like when Crystal got together, I was only doing stand-up. I had moved home to live with my mom because she was like, I had started doing stand-up. I had a really good paying job. That job was like, hey, you got to choose between us and stand-up. And I was like, what the fuck, you know? And my mom was like, listen, if you need to leave and come home and do stand-up, then you can do that. You come home, you live, but you go hard at stand-up. So I did. But when I got together with Crystal, it's like, now it's a family dynamic. We moved in very, very quickly. And I'm like, okay, I need to contribute to this family, you know? And I could feel myself not having, you know, like I was contributing, but it wasn't enough. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean that. Basically, you got a comics. I was contributing maybe $400 a month. It's not a lot of money. Yes, I'm chasing this dream, and I was definitely supported in it. But it was like after a while, I'm like, I don't have value here. So like, the fear started creeping in. Like even subconsciously, it was like, well, fuck. Well, how does this last long term? How do I be the head of a household? Not head, but you know what I mean. But a partner,
but be a
contributor,
partner,
yeah,
contributing
partner. Yeah, exactly. Like how do I ultimately, oversimplified, how do I have value in this family? Do you know what I mean? And so subconsciously, it's like, well, if I don't want to say as the disciplinarian, but it's like, well, if I'm helping out with, you know, raising the kids and stuff, like, I'm like, well, I got to make sure that I'm having results. And it's like, if you're trying to, you know, tell them you got to go to bed and they won't do it, you're like, oh, and you start the yelling because you're like, oh, this is what got results when I was a kid. So it's I don't want to say things got like super bad, but it hurt the relationship that I didn't have a great environment to learn from, and that I wasn't using the best tools. My expectations of children at times were higher than they should be. Which happens with regular parents, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
It's like you're trying to explain something and it's just like they're just not there yet.
Definitely
you can't get it. So you kind of got to go like, I don't know. Fuck. There's books on it. People way smarter than me. I don't have the answers. All I know is that my relationship with the kids now is incredible. Unfortunately, Crystal and I have been off and on for years, and it's kind of like the way things were early on. We haven't really recovered. We try to, but we haven't really recovered from it. There's still a lot of like fear and worry from the past.
Are you guys are together right now?
Not right now.
No, you're not. Oh, okay.
Nope. Not at the moment. No.
Sorry, I didn't know that. I thought.
Hey, man, it's
how
like
long
the stock market? You know?
How long have you guys? How long have you guys?
We keep investing, but sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. You know.
How long have you guys not been together?
Right now?
Yeah.
A few days.
Oh, okay.
We're trying. So the thing with Crystal and I is that we love each other undoubtedly. We care about each other undoubtedly, but we have a lot of like trust and insecurities. It's the kind of thing like I don't want to, I'm pretty sure this is true, but I don't like thinking this way. It's kind of one of those things where like you need to be on your own to like fix what, you know, that whole like you got to love yourself before you love somebody else. It's kind of that. The only thing that's sort of sad is I'm like, oh, but why can't we do it together? You know? Why do we just go off on our own, get better, and then the next person benefits? Like I feel like you invested through all the bad shit, so you're the person that deserves to have me at my best.
If we're getting into like personal shit, like that's kind of like, so when my ex-wife and I separated, she was like, I want to be happy. And I was like, well, why don't we, and I'm not happy right now.
Right.
And I was like, well, why do you assume that I'm happy? Like, why can't we work through this together?
Right.
But it was no, I'm going to be happy discovering this on my own versus like discovering this as a couple or a partnership.
Yeah. It depends. It truly, I think, because I've learned a lot ever since Crystal and I broke up the first time. I have just been a constant student of like psychology and relationships and learning things about like codependency and stuff like that. That's the huge one. I'm super codependent. And the thing is like, I sacrificed the fuck.
I didn't do it.
What?
No, I'm not blaming you. If I unplug this
and then plug it back in.
How did it just stop? I don't hear me on this.
I hear you.
Oh, that was
I hear
weird.
you.
I think it was is this what's happening? The issue with this?
Josh can't hear himself.
Yeah,
but we can all hear
headphones.
One of the most important things about self-reflection is being able to hear yourself.
You got to listen to that voice in your head.
Your voice.
So you guys could hear me the whole time. I saw the levels on the thing.
No.
But see, that's why having the head, whatever. I think it's just the cord was fucked up. You know, it's too
pulled it
much
out
pressure.
And put it back in, and it worked again.
Yeah.
And that's the worst is in the middle of an episode of something like that happens. I'm sorry, I'm ruining your episode.
No. It's
But-
okay. It's okay.
But hey, guys,
this is Josh Williams episode.
This is what makes podcasting great: is that you get to hear these little tech issues, and it doesn't ruin your day. I might actually have to go back to Long and McQuaid and be like, hey guys, you need to give me a new pair of headphones. Bought the warranty. Man.
Well, until they give you a new pair of headphones,
What was I saying?
We'll bleep out blank and
blank.
Yeah, Long and
blank
McQuaid.
blank.
So go back to Long and McQuaid and just keep that. Just edit over it every time I said Long and McQuaid.
So you were talking.
We've already said so many company names. I'm just saying going forward, don't give free advertising.
You were talking about
The codependency.
The codependency.
And stuff.
Yeah.
And so for myself, like my big thing is like in the relationship, I want to feel like I have value. There's so many things. Okay. So from a stepdad perspective, I don't know if anyone listening, truthfully, I don't know if you guys have fans because they love you guys. And it's like, whatever you're talking about.
We've got listeners in Sweden.
Groovy.
And Idaho.
Nice.
Yeah.
Arizona, Utah.
And
the Mormons.
Argentina.
Argentina.
We got Argentinian listeners. I don't know if they can understand us.
Hey, fuck it. There's people that speak English everywhere. God's language. No, I'm not religious.
That
in
was
the
the
slightest.
white privilege thing that could have been said.
I was trying. My brain was actually thinking like the Kings. You know what I mean? But I was like, great.
You
the King of Kings.
You stepped over a line.
Yeah.
It's okay. So for the stepdads out there, a lot of this is something that has lived in my heart for a long time, and there's no real solution to it. Like I know that at one point, Crystal and I, we're gonna have a kid together, whatever. I think I know at one time she was saying like, well, I hope that you still love my kids as much as you love your own. I'm like, yeah, we're all a family. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting. So something that is an insecurity that has lived in me for a long time is the fact that Crystal and her ex, like they cooperate for the most part with the kids, whatever, scheduling everything. Yeah, that's the kid's father. And the thing is, he's not always the greatest with schedules and stuff like that. Like there was a lot of times when we were together, we had to make adjustments because of something on his part. It had nothing to do with the kids. Just he all of a sudden couldn't take them for an evening. So whatever plans her and I had would immediately be canceled. And I wasn't even consulted. I was just told, hey, we can't go tonight because we have the kids. Mm-hmm. So I felt this is something that could come up in relationships. I'm addressing it to be sincere, no hatred or animosity or anything like that. But when it comes to the mother, she's looking at it as a kid's thing. Like the kids need to be taken care of tonight. And for me, I wasn't so close to the puzzle. So I saw when we were taking care of him. Do you know what I mean? Like a weakness in his part. It's like he's got sisters and brothers and mothers that could take the kids, and it's still our time together. But for her, it was like, oh, the kids need to be taken care of, so we got to do this. So she wasn't doing it for him; she was doing it for the kids,
the welfare of the kids. Yeah,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And I said to her recently, like it's been years later, but I had an opportunity to actually tell her how I felt about the whole situation. I said to her, "You have a relationship with him that you and I will never have, because we've since talked, and she's getting older. She's like, I've got my kids. I've done my time as a mother. I don't want to start over 12 and 15. Like, you know, I don't want to start all over the baby phase." And I said, that's fine. I go, but just, it's sad to me that I know that you and him have a bond you and I will never have. He's the father of your children. Do you know what I mean? And I said to her, I'm like, this is an old movie reference, but I was saying that how like, I feel like if we were having that good son moment and she's hanging over the cliff and she's holding him and she's holding me, that in her mind and her heart, she would let go of me because she wouldn't want to sacrifice her kid's father. Do you know what I mean? So now that's a real insecure thought because the odds of that situation happening, but in terms of my feelings,
I don't know if she
weird
could.
Macaulay Culkin movie.
I was going to say, I don't know if she could hold you.
Yeah. I agree. Listen, there's a lot of logistics that would come into play before that particular emotional fork in the road. But in terms of my feelings, I just felt like in her heart somewhere, he has more importance than me, which other stepdads for other reasons may feel. Speaking of trying to bring it back to the subject of the show, right? As a stepdad, there might be times where you feel like you're not as important. Like that's the thing too, for years. And I mean, even still, nobody wishes me happy Father's Day on Father's Day. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people. I've had a few people in my life who've been like, hey man, you're being a father to kids that aren't yours. Like that takes a real man, right? Lions will go into a pride and kill all the babies. He wants them all his bloodline. You know what I mean? Like, so there's some guys like, I want a kid of my own. I don't want to, like I didn't have a problem. I love these kids with all my heart. Like I said, I call them my kids without even flinching. It's not a posturing thing. It's because I love them. But there are certain things that as a stepdad, you might go like, hey, I need them to call me dad because it makes me more important. I need to, be involved in every decision or whatever. Like, I think the main thing is as a stepdad, sometimes there's a lot, especially if you're like me, codependent, insecure at times, whatever, where you might go like, okay, well, how do I feel important in this dynamic? Like I always said to Crystal, I have no problem not having a kid with you. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're done with having kids, I'm okay with that, but I need to feel like I'm a part of it then. Like the whole thing. Like I don't like to find out last minute that our plans are changed not because the kids needed us, but because, the ex couldn't hold up his end. That makes me feel like his plans are more important to you than our plans. Makes me feel overall less important. So if any guys are going through this, you got to be, for starters, as lame and new age as it sounds, you really do have to communicate your feelings, even as a guy. Because a lot of times people don't know how we're feeling and society, as much as women and everybody else has it worse than us, everybody has advantages and disadvantages. And unfortunately, one of the disadvantages of being a guy is that we are expected to bottle up our feelings, suck it up, man up, whatever you want to call it.
Boys don't cry.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's tough because we do have feelings and shit too. And it's hard to be like, hey, can I have a sensitive moment where I say, I want to be a part of your family. I want to be a part of your life. And I love you and I love your kids. But I need to feel like I'm not just the weekend boyfriend. I want to feel like I'm a part of this. If we're going to have a real go at this, if I'm going to be the stepdad or whatever, we were together for a few years in the beginning. We haven't lived together since.
Yeah. I was thinking like you've been kind of co-raising these children, but you have been living, like, even when you have been together, you've been living separately.
Yeah. And I gotta say, like, as much as co-raising, I don't feel like I have. I feel like I've been part of very important discussions that they've had. I feel like I've spent time with them. I feel like I've helped support them through things. Crystal, honestly, of all three of us, her, the ex, myself, Crystal's the total hero. She's the unsung hero. She is 90% of it. And then he's like 10 and I'm like 2. You know what I mean? Like,
and the math doesn't even add up. But
right.
That's okay.
Yeah. No, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the idea is that she's really doing all of it, but that's also been, again, being honest about our relationship. That's also been an issue is like, you don't have to do it all. Like you can lean on me. I can pick the kids up. I can take them to this. Like, she's like, no, I don't want to bother you with it. It's like, it's not it's a partnership. You know what I mean? Like if I, as a man, you want to be of value to your partner. If I can't help you, if I can't contribute, like I realized my fears initially were that I was afraid I couldn't contribute. Now that I can, I'm not I don't want to say allowed, but I'm not given the opportunity to. And that sucks. That's been something that's hurt our relationship. I'm like, look, I need to feel of value. I need to be a part of this partnership.
Everybody does need to know the worth and that they're valued.
Well, and that's exactly it. So at the same time, if I'm in a relationship with someone who I know cares about me, I know loves me, but they won't put themselves in a position where they can count on me, where they can rely on me, where they can trust me, then what the fuck am I, like, what value do I have as a man? You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm glad I can, make you come every now and again. I'm not trying to be gross, but like, we had a great sex life. That was never an issue. But at the end of the day, fellas, like, you want to be a partner to somebody.
Yeah. There's always got to be more than just sex.
Right. So again, for any stepdads listening, some of them might just be like, hey, we've been stepdads from the end. We've been together in relationships for 10 years. Good for you. And I would wonder if even those guys every now and again are like, but like I said, that's the part about being consulted.
Yeah. So like as a stepdad for you, you're a very unique situation because you have had that on and off again. So what's it like? What's your relationship like with the kids when you are in the off stage? Like right now you're in an off stage, but these kids have known you since they are 4 and 2. You have been Josh in their lives.
Right.
So how does your relationship with the kids change?
As they get older, like there's different, like, so when Michaela was younger, we didn't.
Michaela's the 12-year-old, right?
Correct. Yeah. Okay. But of course, as she was younger, the times where she was 7, 9, whatever. Michaela being a young girl, if she chooses to identify that way, don't edit that out. Don't you give me that look like you're taking that out of the podcast.
It's not going
Leave it in there.
We need evidence of,
No, but all I'm saying is, Michaela, because she was a young girl, I don't know what young girls are into. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm like, oh, hey, that My Little Pony thing. In fact, Brody was into My Little Pony. He was
Brody's
a
the 15-year-old?
Yes.
Okay.
Brody is the boy. Michaela is the girl.
Okay.
For now.
For
now.
Until they tell you otherwise.
Exactly. Oh, I'm very open to being told constantly what I know is wrong. I love watching you guys flinch. Guess what? That's part of podcasting, guys. You can't fucking please everybody. You can't. Trust me, I spent my first 10 episodes trying to cater to everyone who would get mad about nothing. And it's funny, the people who will listen to an episode send you hate mail and you go, I got to change everything. Like, yeah, they didn't listen to the next episode anyways. They just were bored and they need to get angry at somebody. It's all a part of life.
Super great having critics who are just flash in the pan. So let's hear from you guys. Our words.
I want the loyals to get mad about something. Yeah. That's what you want. So no, what I'm saying is that like I would spend time with her, but I didn't really know what she was into. It wasn't like, hey, let's get together and watch something on Netflix or like what movie you want to go see. I was like video games, minor outdoor activities, whatever. I didn't really know what she was into. She was into like, dolls and girl shows. So it's very difficult. It was even hard to shop for her personally. Cause I'm like, I don't really know what she's into. And she's very creative. So it's like her interests changed quite often. She's recently gotten to horror movies, which is great because I like horror movies. Now we have something to do. She really enjoys video games and VR games now. Cool. That's something we can do. She's enjoying board games. That's something that we can do. You love
board games.
I did. Can't find anyone to play them with. So lost interest.
My life has been super busy. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because you started inviting me like around the time that Kate got pregnant. And then it's just like,
yeah.
You got to wait.
Can't do it. Yeah, can't do it, buddy. Well, and all my friends have kids. So if I want to play board games, I get to go to their house, which is fine, but it's only like play with, 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can we get like a group of like 6 or 7 for like a party game or something,
Yeah.
And it's hard to bring people because everyone wants to stay isolated. I got friends that live in Canada, Orleans, the Quebec side, Metcalfe. So wherever I'm going, I'm driving 30, 40 minutes to get to them for like a 3-person game. I'm almost like, you know what? It's expensive to go to your game night. Do you know what I mean?
Have you ever played those Jackbox games?
Yes.
Yeah, I love those.
Pearl
You can
brings
like
them over.
stream them on YouTube, and you can play with people around the city. They're like,
Stream them on YouTube?
Yeah, well, that was what Prawn was saying. Is he could do a live stream, and that way, like, you would just go onto his YouTube channel, watch it from wherever you are, and be able to play with your phones, and you could play from across the city.
The only thing is with
you can play
with live stream, like I've tried on Twitch. Twitch has got about a 5, 6, sometimes 7-second delay. So when you're playing a game like Jackbox where there's a timer, it's really unfair because you're 7 seconds behind everybody else. And a lot of them are like buzz in. So you're fucked if you're playing.
Fair enough. I didn't realize that. I don't do a lot of that stuff.
But we play it on our back porch. Like we've a TV mount outside. So we'll put the TV outside. Nick will come over with his PlayStation, and we'll all sit in, patio furniture in the back on the big screen, playing it on our phones.
It's a lot of fun.
It's so much fun. I'm honestly, I think I'm enjoying board games more than video games now, because for starters, I'm not as much of a recluse. Like I'd go to work and then come home and just play video games, whatever. I enjoy the social stuff. Like I'd rather sit down and do a podcast. I'd rather, play around the table with board games or something like that.
Well, it makes sense. the more interactive as opposed to being a recluse.
Social,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's more social. Like people would think online is social. Really shouting obscenities and listening to someone like be racist, and you're like, what? How is this social? All you're doing is expanding the vocabulary in the worst possible ways.
But still expanding it nonetheless.
But it's so I don't know. Her and I definitely get along with more. Same thing with Brody. Brody and I would get together, play video games. There was times where I wouldn't really hear from them much. And to be honest with you, like there was a sense I had a feeling. This was never explicitly said, but I had a feeling at times like whenever Crystal and I would break up, I was like, well, I'd still like to see the kids. And she's like, you can see them anytime you want. But if I went like a few weeks, before I asked, maybe I was busy or what have, maybe I still just hurt from the breakup or whatever. Mm-hmm. I would say like, hey, is it cool if I spend some time with like Brody or Michaela? And she'd be like, but why? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you haven't really felt a need to talk to them in the last few, like, why now? So I felt like I was inadvertently being told like I'd better have a good reason if I want to. Was never expressed, like I said, but why was almost like I just almost never even engaged with that. I'm like, I don't know, because I'd see them. So yeah, but you haven't really wanted to until I'm like, I don't have a I don't know what the code is to cross the bridge kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
As well as it's like, am I allowed to reach out to them tomorrow, or do I have to wait?
Well, that was the thing, right? Yeah. So it's like, okay, so I felt, like I said, I felt like I had to have a good reason. And I'm like, I just want to see them. I don't know, I'm feeling lonely. I miss them. Like, okay, but you haven't wanted to so far. Like, so I was like, okay. And I felt like that was a her and me thing, not on me seeing them. So as much as she never outright said, hey, I don't want you to see the kids, there was times where I felt like I wasn't as welcome to see them as she maybe tried to express. And again, I'm very open to the fact that maybe it is just me being insecure in that moment, but I don't know. So at times I felt, and she was the go-between. Kids didn't have phones.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if I didn't maybe answer the questions properly, like, I don't know if they're going to be told like, hey, do you want to spend time with Josh or whatever it is? Again, I don't know for sure, but I can just tell you it felt like that. Now, the last few years haven't been like that at all, but there were times where I felt like I had to have a reason to want to see them.
Because like now Brody's 15. He's probably got a phone, right?
And Michaela, we talk directly. So I'll chat with them. Like I know when they want to see me, I'll let them know like, hey, you want to hang out soon? And so it's almost like before, I would wonder if they were ever even told that I was like asking to hang out with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I would never go around her back and be like, try to find a way to see the kids and be like, hey, do you guys want to hang out? Make sure you tell them. Like, no, nothing like that. Always respect between us. But now it's like we spend more time, but I'm also able to contact them directly.
Yeah. So you can just like even just send them a text to be like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Right.
And Crystal is an insanely good mother. Insanely good mother. If the kids want something, she'll do everything in her power to make it happen. But that's where I say, like, I feel like when the kids didn't know, it was just me sort of asking. Then it was like I said, I felt like sometimes I had to have a good reason. She never said no. Never. But that line of questioning, like the why do you want to see them? Well, I don't know. I miss them. Yeah, but you didn't miss them before. I'm like, and I can't remember how those would play out. I just remember feeling like, okay, so I don't have an answer to that.
Being judged for your feelings at the moment.
Yeah. I wonder, like, yeah, I don't know. But that's the thing. Like that's been a major problem in our relationship is the whole, like, I really feel this. And I mean, she may listen to this episode. She may not. She's not here to defend herself, and I'm not trying to paint her in any particular way. I do love her with all my heart.
No, she's
love of my life.
She's
an amazing human being. Yeah,
Crystal, we love you.
Yeah. I love her. I love her so much. But in terms of talking about my experience,
photography.
Yeah,
Crystal
clear
shots.
Crystal clear shots. Did my headshots. Did my wedding shots. Awesome shots.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And the thing is, like I said, we're all just trying to figure shit out. But in terms of the stepdad perspective or whatever, like that's part of being a stepdad too. Is if the relationship ends, you don't have any rights to see those kids. There's no law for step parents where you can fight to see the kids and get visited. It doesn't exist.
But also not many stepdads are in the situation that you are where there's been so much on and off again for the last 12
But even
years,
still,
right?
even if they're together for 7 years and it just doesn't work out, like once it's over, you don't have any right to see them. Maybe you hope that, but here's the thing. Brody's 15 and he does, I'm lucky that he wants to hang out, but 15-year-olds want to hang out with their friends and play video games. Hanging out with a grown man
at 15,
in your spare time, like where is the allure? I can't imagine a scenario where I would have wanted once in a while, once every few months, sure. But if you're like, wow, I miss, like, that's the thing too as a step parent, right? Is like when that relationship breaks up, it's funny. My barber said this to me so early on, and I thought he was crazy when he said it, and I totally get it now. He goes, yeah, you got to be careful when you're dating someone with kids because sometimes if the relationship doesn't work out, it's not even the person that you miss, it's the kids. And I was like, this guy's crazy. Because like I said, back then I was like, she's a package deal. You know, her and the kids are a package deal. And I've always accepted that. And I'm like, I will learn to love them too. That was, like I said, before I'm like, tolerate. No, it's like, I'll learn to love them too. I already love her and I will learn to love them too. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like, maybe this sounds ridiculous, but it's like in-laws. Like, it comes with in-laws. I can't just be like, nope, no in-laws.
Yeah.
No kids. No, just you. It's like, well, sorry, they're coming too, You learn to love them or tolerate them depending on the relationship. But all I'm saying is when that relationship ends, you don't have any rights. There's no recourse. Like I said, people don't even think of you on Father's Day. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not the father. So you have to have, I guess, a certain level of humility, a certain amount of inner strength. I do not possess, just for the record. I'm not saying I have it. I'm saying you don't possess. But when you think like being, mom is the hero a lot of the times. Dad's a good dude. Dad takes second spot. I'm just saying, if you're a dad and you're like, fuck, you're like, well, be a stepdad. Be dad's understudy. You know what I mean? That's what you are. You get to be dad only when dad isn't available. So maybe for anyone who's in a new relationship or thinking about like, oh, I'm dating this chick who has kids, I haven't met them yet or whatever. If you are willing to be that, if you are willing to not be dad, you're willing to be dad's understudy, right? Where you only get that real good feeling of being dad only when dad is not available. That's what being a stepdad's like. Mm-hmm. And like a lot of situations where you love somebody, you kind of put other people first. It's also a codependent thing, but you learn to put the other people first. You know what I mean? And go, what's good for them? Not what do I need right now, but what do they need?
So speaking about learning, like
I haven't learned anything. Sorry.
Okay. What advice?
No questions.
Sorry, I'm talking so much too.
Questions.
I'm having such a great time. I hope you guys are too.
This is the Josh Williams episode. Of course, you get to do most of the talking.
I do that on my episodes too.
Well, I know you're a one-man podcast where you just sit down and talk by yourself for an hour.
I haven't talked. You know what's funny? I haven't talked about any of this stuff really, like what it's like being a stepdad or whatever. I don't know if anyone's interested. So this is the perfect format.
I thought it was interesting.
This is shit like 10 years I've been trying to get off my chest, guys. Thanks for the free
we were
therapy.
going to bleed together in the room.
Yeah, dude. Listen, and it better not be wrapping up anytime soon because we have lots to talk about.
Or can we?
What's your schedule like, Chris? Are you on the?
Can we take a pause?
It's your show. You don't.
Yeah, we're gonna take a pause. We're gonna go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Are you the creative type that sometimes suffers from writer's block?
Why won't this come to me? God damn.
Do you ever procrastinate a task more than you should?
I'll do that task tomorrow for sure.
Should you have written an ad for this podcast episode?
Definitely.
I was supposed to write an ad today, and instead I went to therapy.
Didn't get it done.
Therapy, an hour of legitimate procrastination.
So we're talking about how much fun we're having. This is the time of our lives, best day of our lives. Chris and I just established we don't have like a big task that we had to do.
Yeah, I thought we were going somewhere to see something.
No,
we don't have to.
No, we're just having the time of our lives now. Do you guys haven't really interviewed each other on this so far? Maybe slight little things.
Not really. Like we're slow. Like
we did an intro. We did brief descriptions of what
we do, our backgrounds, and
what about you? Are you aren't a father? You are about to be any second.
18 days. This is why we're doing this, because...
Can I tell you something about being a father? You don't get to fucking schedule something that precise. You think it's going to happen exactly 18 days.
The due date isn't 18 days.
His first steps are going to be approximate... No.
Do yourself a favor and bang her out right now. Just get vicious tantric pregnancy sex and it'll happen. Do it!
Will
it make a difference?
Yeah, it does.
Gross.
As well as we go out for these like little like long walks in the evening because that's supposed to stimulate it. Yeah. If we're driving somewhere,
you're trying to make it happen.
If we're driving somewhere, I'll try to go over bumpier roads.
That doesn't sound.
That's probably just going to shake her up. That's not.
Just going to give her heartburn. That's all it is.
No, I'd like her to come a little bit early, but I also. And this is just me being selfish. I want to make sure she's a Leo like her dad, so we can be little Leos together. And if she's late, she might end up being a Virgo.
Astrology?
No, I'm not even into astrology. I just like
one of the warning signs.
I like being the whole like I'm a Leo, hear me roar, and then I'll be like, roar.
You want her to be a little Catwoman?
Yeah, I guess maybe.
You want her to be like I'm a Leo, hear me roar, and basically give every boy around her an erection when she says that.
Hey, if it's work, it's work.
Well, dude, guys will find something sexual. You want to give them a catchphrase to get attracted by?
Dude, this is my little girl you're talking about.
Not forever. What? You're the one trying to give her fucking pickup lines. I'm a Leo. Hear me roar.
I don't know. I've been
I can
saying
hear
that
the
since I was a
hooker.
child.
I can literally hear the hooker boots she's wearing when she says that.
I did.
Sorry.
There's nothing wrong with the hooker boots.
We did buy her like these little leather boots. And then I bought them. And then I
fuck
came
is
home.
wrong with you?
And then Kate's like,
You're trying-
that was literally kids like they look like hooker boots.
What you're trying to do to make money is disgusting. You just need sponsors. That's all you need. You don't need to tramp out your daughter. I am a Leo. Hear me roar. Look at my boots. I love you, Matt, but you're doing it all wrong.
That's why we're doing the podcast, so I can learn to do this shit right.
That's right.
Well, Chris has got 2 beautiful kids.
Absolutely.
How old are they now?
Eddie will be 6 September 13th, and Eric is 3.5.
Oh Jesus!
Sorry, edit that out.
3.5.
Sorry, I leaned forward and it came out with I was about to open my mouth and just roar. I'm a Leo. Hear me roar.
You're not a Leo.
How do you know?
I actually don't. When's your birthday?
January. I'm a Capricorn.
Yeah, you're not a Leo.
I'm a Capricorn. It's not a thing, though. Did you make sure that you're still a Leo, by the way, Dickface?
Oh shit!
Did you know that?
'Cause
Did you know
they
just
added-
about everybody's horoscope changed? Mine didn't. Actually, you know what? I don't know if mine did. So, while you guys are talking, I'm gonna
To the Google.
What happened? Did you headbutt the mic?
Yes. Sometimes people are just jerks.
Oh, Mr. Simpson. Okay, so let's. Ooh, do you hear that? If you put electronics
did
near
hear
the
that.
cords, sometimes it'll do that. So, the new.
When I had a carrier with
signs.
Rogers, when my Rogers was my carrier,
Yeah.
and I had my radio on, it was like in the car, you would hear, and then a phone
Yeah,
would
that's
come.
like it's like picking up on the signal or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to put this in my thing. Okay, so there's the new astrology signs here.
Okay, go with it.
And by the way, people, you hear that? By the way, people love this stuff. Just random trivia. They're like, I don't give a fuck about your upbringing or the trials and tribulations you went through.
Okay, so new.
My phone also doesn't like to do the orientation thing every now and
that
again.
sucks.
I can't find my cell phone. I think I left it outside.
You're a piece of shit. I'm so sorry. I keep saying that. Okay, so there's the new one is called Officius.
Where the fuck does that land?
Officius. So, okay. So, Chris, what's your birthday?
May the 20th.
May the 20th. Before was you were a Taurus.
That's right.
Okay. Now, you're still a Taurus.
Good talk.
Because it went from hold on. It went from April 20th to May 21st. Now it goes from May 13th to June 21st.
Oh, really?
So you're still a Taurus because you fall in that zone. Matt, what
I
were
feel
you?
like this might knock me into being.
This might hurt you.
I'm August 4th.
This might give you cancer, a vegan cancer. No, you're August 4th.
Yeah.
So before you were a Leo from July 23rd to August 23rd, and you're August 4th.
Yeah.
You are a Cancer.
I refuse to be a
Recognize.
Cancer.
Well, it doesn't matter since you believed in your goddamn gypsy witchcraft before, and now it's like, oh, we updated our gypsy. The Vatican of gypsy witchcraft came out, and they're like, all right, here's the new dates.
They added a new sign?
Yeah,
It was
it's called
like 2 years
Officius
ago
or
or
whatever.
something.
No, it was almost 10 years ago.
It wasn't 10
Yeah.
years ago.
Well, how the fuck do you know?
Someone who's ragging on
I
this
just-
witchcraft here.
Yeah, I know. You seem to know a lot about this.
All I
witchcraft.
know is that all of you fucking goddamn Mormon believers or whatever in this stuff, you guys were like, "Ah," and then it's all of a sudden a new one came out. Oh, can you believe it? It's not even okay. So I was a Capricorn. Okay, January 19th was my birthday. I was always on the cusp. So Capricorn. Now I am. Now I'm a fucking Sagittarius.
Go get some
Because
water,
by January
water bear.
20th it says.
Okay.
So I'm still on the cusp.
Yeah.
But I was on the cusp of Cappy Aquarius. Now I'm on the cusp of Saggy Cappy.
Saggy Cappy.
Saggy Cappy.
Saggy Cappy.
Here's the thing. None of this matters.
Sounds
None
like
of
a
it's
tail.
real.
None of it's real.
I
None of
love
it's
the
real.
fact that when it comes to like fuck, yeah, so you're not a Leo, you're a Cancer. You're a Cancer.
I refuse to
You still-
identify as a
Do
Cancer.
you want your daughter to be born as a Cancer?
She,
or do you want her to be a little
when
prostitute,
does
like
when
you
does
had
it turn to
in-
Leo now then? Because she's supposed to come August 15th.
She'll still be up. She'll still be Leo.
Leo begins now August 10th.
All right, so as long as she comes after August 10th, then
Then she'll be a Leo. You're a Cancer though.
I refuse to identify as a Cancer.
That's fine. You can change your sign. Did you know that you can change when you were
sign
born as much
fluid.
as you can change your gender or sex? Because everything is changeable now. Doesn't matter. I really want to turn this into a polarizing moment for your podcast. I'm just joking. I'm only being a shit disturber right now. I don't believe it. I don't give a fuck. I want everyone to be who they are. It's just funny. You're like, if you can change your gender and your sex, then you can change your birthday too, right? Be like, I don't identify with that date, but it says that on the calendar. Don't try to put me in a calendar binary fucking, okay, all right. Interesting. Like I said, I just want everyone to be happy. You know what I don't want? I don't want to be yelled at for asking questions. That's all I care about. I have a question. No questions. Okay, that's not going to be a weird way to come up with understanding for everyone.
Well, questions are important because questions lead to answers and answers lead to understanding, right?
Yes. And peace comes through understanding.
Exactly.
Right? When things are understood, they're accepted.
And we talk about the anger. The anger comes from a fear, and that fear is of an unknown. And as much as it might be a stupid fear, or
yeah, I feel like a lot of anger. Well, anger is fear. So you got the people who are like, they have no idea what these new gender roles mean. So they're getting angry because they're like, well, I thought someone just told me that there's no such thing as men or female. So they're feeling angry that like what they know is challenged.
Yeah. Diminished them.
Right. They're like, okay, so nothing I know is true. There's no such thing as a male. Well, I'm a male, I identify as male, but you're telling me that's not a thing anymore. Like, so people feel like, okay, so they're afraid that what they know isn't a thing. And then you have people who I believe are in the LGBT community feeling like, okay, well, I'm afraid no one's ever going to accept us for who we are. So when someone asks a question, it feels like we're being challenged. It feels like we're not being accepted. So, and then the whole idea is when everyone's yelling at each other, there's no communication, there's whatever. And then nobody grows. We stay angry forever.
It all comes down to relationship, right? If you don't have friends that are in the LGBTQ community, go out and make friends and learn.
Yeah.
But even then, I always find that kind of stuff, well, not the LGBT stuff, like the first half of it, where it doesn't have to do with the gender necessarily, just who you love. Like, I always felt like, you know what? I'm not living in a mansion on the side of a cliff overlooking the ocean. Like, my life isn't that good that I need to be worried about what other people are doing in their bedroom. Do you know what I mean? Like, gay and lesbian. At first, at a time where that was the only kind of difference when it came to the gender sex stuff, was like, oh, you're gay, you're a guy who fucks guys, you're a woman who fucks girls, you know. That's the only thing. I'm like, I don't care what you do in your bedroom. That's private. I'm not having people come watch me. Hey, come watch what I'm doing because that's the majority. Like, it's private. No matter what, it's private. So who gives a fuck what you're doing in your bedroom? But now it's like I said, it's coming out where it's like, you know, if you're transgender, it's like, well, that's something maybe people can see. It's not like that's a private thing. That's something that you're identifying with. Whatever.
And it's
I'm never going to
sexual preference
of
too.
Course,
right?
Of course. It's the whole idea of like what I like, who I love, you know, how there's a lot to it, but the whole idea is because it's new, like there's the 3 stages of truth, right? First is ridicule, the second is violent opposition, and then the third is acceptance. And so the whole idea is I'm not really personally sure if we're still in the ridicule stage or the violent opposition stage.
I think we're transitioning. We're transitioning into
no pun intended, of course.
No.
But it's that thing where it's like, okay, so but I almost want to tell like my transgendered friends, my LGBT friends, is that like don't think like this is good that this is happening.
Questions are happening.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's even the stupidity, the dumb shit that they're hearing. It's like I almost want to be like, this is part of it being accepted.
Some people learn at different levels,
right.
and it's going to take them longer.
Fucking I mean, unfortunately, it's being like argued now. But who was it that the Earth's round? Galileo.
Galileo, yeah.
Was it Galileo? Yeah. So Galileo. Well, you don't think that he got fucking ridiculed and violently opposed, and then finally accepted? Maybe.
Afterward,
I can't read, so.
But I remember you talking about that on your podcast.
That's what I'm saying. It's like he went through the 3 stages of truth, and now there's flat earthers who are like, "Nah, it's not even a thing." Right? It's like, did you see that it's like a flat Earth, a pancake, and there's 2 bulbs floating over it, like in a weird. That's what they think the sun and the moon do. They just revolve different.
They have followers all around the globe.
Even how light works, they're like, it's like light doesn't even work like that. Well, if I'm standing here and it was round, I wouldn't be able to see that city over the bay. That curvature happens over thousands and thousands of miles.
Like even over 200 kilometers.
If the Earth is round, how come I can see my hand in front of my face? Wouldn't it be down there with the fucking idiots? Yeah. Idiots.
I went to work with a flat earther, and he just wanted to fight. He just wanted to spew this freaking echo chamber knowledge that he had, and it was just a bunch of horseshit. And my apprentice stood up and goes, "Okay, if the Earth isn't flat, how do you explain this?" And she held the hammer and he just dropped it. And then went, "Thank you," and then left the fucking room. How do you explain gravity? Right? Like
their argument is gravity proves the world isn't round.
Yeah, well, I don't know how gravity.
No, gravity proves that it is round.
Because there's
so she was saying to him like, if we were if it's the way it was,
then why didn't it fly over?
Why didn't it just why did it fall?
Because of It should have just kept spinning around the world in the air.
No, she's like, gravity proves that there's a globe and we're spinning on an axis, right?
Right.
So if we're freaking flat, what keeps us on the earth, you stupid asshole?
Right.
Dropping a hammer. It was like a
Right,
mic
and there was
drop.
another guy who did a mic drop at one of those conferences. But it's like there's so much more to it. And they're just, I don't know. Look, there's also people who believe in God.
Some
Matt had a
people,
look. Do you believe in God, Matt? You cute little bug. He's a Leo, and don't worry, you don't have to. I'm not going to turn it into that. That's a big discussion.
It's a big discussion. I've talked about being raised in a very, very religious household before. So like I've had that installment in my life for decades. And
that installment, that sounds like what a priest does to a kid. All right, come downstairs for your weekly installment
of the holy book. And he's got
evangelicalism is a very hard disease to shake.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like it's something where you've got these such indoctrinated beliefs that it's hard to question some of them.
Right.
But I consistently do question them. So do I believe in God? I believe in something bigger than myself, but I also believe that I'm too small and insignificant to ever understand.
So you're
what
agnostic,
that is.
effectively.
Yeah, I'm agnostic.
Yeah.
Throw everything into a frying pan.
I wish I was agnostic, but I think I'm more atheist. And the funny thing too is like, but I'm of the belief, and I'll make it quick. We'll move back onto actual shit that people care about. But my position is like, there's people who are like, it's like anything else, like vegans, avid atheists who feel that Chris is like shaking his head like, how many people is Josh going to piss off in this episode?
It's good. It's just like there's people
here's the thing. I love everybody. No, but it's like, but a vegan, someone who freshly becomes a vegan, it's like they got to tell everybody else how to be a vegan and you should be a vegan and all this stuff. I find atheists are very obnoxious like that. Like they need you to lose your belief because, and I go, well, here's the thing. I wish I was agnostic. I wish I had a religion because I have a fear of death. Mm-hmm. So having peace and having comfort with the idea that, I'm going to die one day, but there's this thing, I'm going to live on past that in a happy place. Like there's nothing, what's wrong with that?
Well, your energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just simply changes
forms.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
exactly.
You are just exactly that.
Yeah.
So,
and well, that's the thing. So I'm saying like from everything I know, I'm like, I don't really see any evidence of an afterlife. Although what I do like, if all the religions I do like, I like the Eastern religions because I'm like, they're the ones who years and years and years.
On the now.
Well, not only that, but they were the ones who, before science came along and proved that energy cannot be created or destroyed, they were the ones saying we all come from the same energy. We all return to it. We're all part of one. Like they were saying this shit before we could prove it scientifically.
That's right.
So if anything, they've been saying this forever.
But it was also like a lot of their philosophies are about like mindfulness and self-actualization and realization of oneself in its place in society as well.
And even just the things of karma, like not do unto others, that's religion, but the whole idea is that like
karma
put out
is a do unto others.
Yeah, but put out the energy that you want to get have it. And even there's even Eastern martial arts like Aikido that are like, is it Aikido? The one I'm thinking of? Where it's like to hurt your enemy is to hurt yourself. Because we're all part of the same thing.
Yeah,
to hurt someone else is to hurt yourself. Yeah, it's basically using your attacker's energy as defense. Like so, yeah, you're not hurting the other person, you're protecting yourself, and you're not harming them either.
It's about learning the defense rather than the offense.
That's right. And it's using their offense against them.
The best
as
offense
a defense
is a great defense.
But Aikido is do not harm. Like what's his face? Steven Seagal. He's big Aikido.
Okay,
but the whole idea is like
piece of shit in regular life
and hard to kill.
Huge tub of shit. No,
he's a hard target.
That's
Van Damme.
Good one though.
He's been under siege before though.
Totally under siege.
Definitely.
Yeah.
For his executive decisions on ice cream,
or in Russian policy.
Is Russian policy when
he became a Russian citizen?
No, but I mean, like, I know Executive Decision was a movie he was in.
Oh, right, fuck.
You fucking asshole. I finally joined your game. You're like, what are you talking about?
I ruined it.
Now let's talk about Cher.
But all I'm saying is that, like, I like the Eastern philosophies because they're basically saying everyone's, Om and karma, and like, look how much yoga and all this Eastern stuff that's affected Western culture now in a big happiness and mindfulness movement. Like, those people, they're not preaching religion. Like, their religion is not something that happens after you die. In terms of making utopia and heaven on earth, like, those religions are like, let's be good to each other now, right? Instead of a gamble. Instead of like, later, hey, what if? I always talked about like religion. It's like it's spiritual life insurance. Do you know what I mean? You buy into it your entire life. It only pays off when you die. And there's probably some guy waiting at the fucking gate with your policy to screw you out of it. That's what St. Peter is. He just looks at your policy and goes, I see here where you did this. Fortunately, we can't. We're going to have to deny your claim. You're going to have to go, get back on the stairs downwards.
You can wait in purgatory,
right.
or you can go straight downstairs.
That's what I'm saying is if you
do
have
you want to be with the unbaptized babies? Because that might be
I think
more
that's where the
hellish
priests
than
go.
hell.
Oh, yeah. I'll get them wet. But...
So obviously,
so all I'm saying is,
sorry,
going back
Mom.
to the atheism thing, is that when atheists like have to get in a conversation with someone and do everything in their power to like convince someone their religion isn't real, I'm like, so let's say you succeed. You got someone who has faith, they have comfort in their beliefs, and you convince them that doesn't exist. What service have you done them?
Nothing.
All you've done is taken,
self-serving.
You've taken away something from them that gave them comfort. That's all you did. It's like ripping a teddy bear away from a child. Oversimplification, but like all you didn't go, hey, this isn't a real bear. It's not alive. Look, and rip it apart. It's just stuffing. It's like that's what you're doing emotionally to somebody when it comes to the religious stuff. So just because I'm atheist who wish, like I said, I'd like to think of myself as agnostic, but I think I'm more atheist than anything. I don't feel the need to take that away from anybody else. Like, in fact, if anything, I'm envious that people have that belief.
That they're able to have faith.
That they're able to have faith, yeah, because I just, as much as I try, I think a lot of religions, like I said, if I was anything, I'd be agnostic or like Buddhist, Taoist, any of the Eastern ones. I think the biggest issue I have with religion is, again, and this goes back to the LGBT thing, is like, religion where it's like, yeah, you can't be gay or you go to hell. I'm like, really? God, who's all about love, he's going to punish you, and your biggest crime is for loving another person.
That's
like,
it.
That's
right?
what you. If
man is made in the image of God, that means that even LGBTQ are made in the image of God and can have that rights. And that's a big thing. That's what pushed me away from the church was the staunch opposition. Well, I wasn't in the Catholic Church, but
they're the only ones that do the rape.
No, they're not the only ones.
I feel like the Catholic Church is like the Quebec strip clubs. Like everywhere else, you can just watch, but in the Catholic Church, you're allowed to touch. You know what I mean? Is that a good enough analogy?
Come hold my rosary.
In the Catholic Church, you can ditch.
That's a new advertising for the Catholic Church.
I'm good with metaphors, I guess.
Maybe that'll be one of our ads this week.
Quebec strip clubs. They're like the church. You can touch.
But not her sex.
Oh, that's funny.
Actually, kind of getting back to the LGBTQ thing, do you still tell the joke about the time that Brody asked you about what gay is?
Of course.
Okay, because
that's the conversation that happened at the time. So I even if people are like, that's not right, I'm like, of course it's not right. I'm talking to an 8-year-old.
Can you share that? Can you share that story? Like, because I think that it's a huge story about like acceptance, because just in the way that Brody reacts to it.
It was fucking hilarious to me.
So yeah,
and here's the funny thing: I didn't have to it's not like I had an experience and I wrote a joke about it that tells a bunch of things that didn't happen. That joke is word for word the discussion that we had,
verbatim,
verbatim. And I thought it was hilarious. I just told the story. People were dying laughing. I'm like, this might be a joke. I tried it in front of audiences. It worked. I'm like, okay, I say stupid things. But the thing was, we were sitting on the couch and he was like, this is gay. And I saw him using it in a negative way. And I'm the kind of guy, like, fuck, I'm not going to lie. I have used the word gay exactly the same way other people have used it. It never had anything to do with sexual connotation, but it's still wrong. I'm actually, excuse me, burping from all these no-name beers we're drinking. That's actually a brand of beer now.
It is a brand
hilarious.
Of beer. We are not drinking no-name
nameless beers is what I meant.
Very delicately balanced.
We talk about product placement. That's definitely a big theme of this episode. But what I'm saying is like, yeah, no, please, Chris.
You're having this conversation with him, and just organically, he's using it in the wrong terms.
He's using it in the wrong context. And the thing is, like, as much as I'm like I said, one of the things I'm working on is like, I'm going to say it, but I'm saying it in context. Please don't edit it out. I have used the word retard, and I've not been referring to people with any kind of special needs or anything like that. I've said the word gay. I'm not referring to any gay people. I sound like every fucking bigot or racist when I say I have a ton of gay friends, which I do. Some of my best friends on the planet are fucking gay people. I love hanging out with gay guys. One of my favorite I think the main reason I love it is that I get a feminine perspective on things without my body being like, hey, fuck that. Hey, have sex with that. Have sex with that. Because when I hang out with girls, I love hanging out with girls too. Women have this beautiful way. Women have the same excitement, joy, optimism, energy as children do sometimes. Do you know what I mean? They get excited for things. They're not insecure about being excited like guys are. Like, we can't be like, oh my God, look at that. It looks so cute. Like, we can't do that. All right? because I
normally, no.
no. But so the whole idea is like I love a feminine persona. In fact, I was listening to something a long time ago. I'm getting back to your question, Chris. We're going to tell the story. But I listened to like a talk a long time ago, and it said that in every relationship there is a masculine and feminine role. Doesn't mean that there is a male or a female, but in terms of the personality dynamics, there is a masculine and feminine. So you can even see a heterosexual couple where the female is masculine and the male is more like not subjected to submissive.
We could
submissive.
just call them doms and subs, man.
But that sounds like sexual. But the whole idea is that, like, you know, people have said things that are kind of like, oh, who wears the pants, or whatever. It's all that's done derogatorily. But the idea is that, like, but you can see it in gay couples. You can see where one is a more of a masculine archetype and a more female archetype, and vice versa. So I found that interesting to see that there was sort of. Anyways, all I'm saying is that the female archetype. Or archetype, however you pronounce that properly. I love hanging out with gay guys because I feel like I get to hang out with guys who have a softer side. Yeah. And biologically, my body is not like, hey, maybe you guys should fucking get drunk and try to have sex or whatever. Because I've not had a lot of
after 3 beers.
I've not had a lot of female friends in my life when I was single that I wasn't mildly attracted to. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, I love the fact that I almost feel like I can be more myself, and I don't know, I love gay guys. Love gay guys. Love them.
Super.
Quote that. In fact, cut everything else out from the discussion we just had and just get the soundbite of Josh going, love gay guys. Love them.
This entire episode will just be that sound.
We had Josh Williams into the podcast.
This is what he had to say.
Love gay guys. Love them. Love them. I love gay guys. Gay guys are like chicks that you don't want to fuck. Love them though. Love gay guys. And it's just a constant soundbite. Well, thanks for coming in, Josh. How was your upbringing? Love gay guys. Love them.
How do you feel about it?
Did your mom have a lot of boyfriend? Gay guys. Love them. Love them. Jesus. Did they ever try to leave you? Love them. Anyways, no, I don't know.
Can't get out of the pit in the basement.
Right? And then priests will download. What did you say? Inject something?
Installment.
Installment. Yeah, I got an installment for you, buddy. Install. Oh, Jesus.
All right, tell this story.
So the story with Brody is just, again, at the end of the day, here's the thing too, is, and this goes to what you were saying before, even talking about religion, okay, is the kids go to Catholic school. We're not religious. Crystal's not religious. The father's not religious.
Better education.
That's kind of, yeah. A lot of people said you get a better education in the Catholic system.
In both boards as like a therapist, then I would agree.
Okay, so there you go. So, and that's what Crystal said. Crystal went to Catholic school growing up. I went to public school. I'm an idiot. She's very intelligent. There you go. Proof is in the pudding. No, but she said, I think it's a better education system, so the kids are in Catholic school. But here's the thing. In Catholic school, you take religion class.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. The kid's father was violently opposed. Violently. He would aggressively tell them not to believe what they were being told in school and this and that. And of course, when you're a kid, another thing for dads to know, and this is another thing too, this is very important. Matt, you're a really well put together guy, so you probably already know. But when you have your kid, you are dad. Everything that you say is gospel. You know everything. So when you don't think something, if you let your kids know that you don't think it, they're not going to think it because dad doesn't think it.
Children are impressionable.
They're very impressionable. But here's the thing. Yeah, that's what people say that when referring to TV and ads and things like that. But you got to know that mom and dad hold such a high office above everything else. Yes, they're impressionable, but nobody's more detrimental to them in terms of that impressionability than you guys as parents. And the big issue is he would tell them, I don't believe in that and blah, 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 blah. So naturally they don't want to believe in it because dad doesn't. I don't want to be different than dad. What the teacher says isn't as important what dad says. So I remember the kids would come home, they would question, they were getting in trouble at school because they were mostly Brody, but they were outright like saying what dad had told them in these religion classes in front of other kids. So the whole idea was, and then he would say, well, I want them to think for themselves. And I remember one day, both he and I were actually being extras on a movie. And I was saying to him, he goes, I just want him to think for himself. And I go, if you want him to think for himself, don't tell him what you think. Offer him both sides of the argument and then let him think for himself.
Yeah.
Be as fair as you can. Say, some people believe this, some people believe that, there's this and that. Don't tell him what you believe in. Because by telling him what you believe in, you're not letting him think for himself. You're picking what he thinks, even though you don't think it is. I want him to think for himself. No, you don't. You want him to think what you think. and that's not thinking for himself. Maybe you got to come up with it on your own, but if you really want your kids to have that same, that's a fucking luxury.
How are you going to have someone think for themselves when you slant all the information towards what you think?
Exactly. And go, well, I want him to think for himself. Well, no, you don't want him to believe what he's being told. Anyways, that's the same thing with like the gay stuff or whatever. It's like, I know that when I had said it, and I don't think I really do. Actually, I'm pretty damn sure I don't, but I know that occasionally the word retard will slip from my mouth. I mean, no malice, judge me, and I'll put it on here, leave it on here. Don't edit it out. It's just, I'm being honest. I'm sincere. So what I'm saying is I don't, and there's not a part of me that thinks it. But here's the thing. I've been working on this in the sense that I'm like, I don't need it in my vocabulary. Because I've been that guy who said, hey, when I say gay, I don't mean gay. When I say retard, I don't mean retard. It's like, yeah, but you know what? The point is, and this is a big thing for me. And I think it's a lot of stuff in life that's like this right now. Is I go, yeah, but just because I don't mean it that way,
doesn't mean someone else doesn't.
Yeah, and not only that, but it could still hurt somebody. Mm-hmm. So why, being the person that I am that never wants to hurt anybody, why would I keep a word around that I know can, for no other reason? There's other words that describe what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So
and it's
really
not going to be as targeted in the potential, right?
So why keep something? It's like having a tool in your garage that's fucking rusted, and every fifth time you use it, you fucking cut yourself. You're like, but it works most of the time, and I don't always get. It's like, yeah, but if you knew it could hurt somebody or yourself every now and again, just get rid of it. Get rid of it. There's other tools that won't do that. That's all, and that's all I look at it as.
Metaphor for guns at the same time?
No, no, but you can, if you want to parlay it into it, feel free. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, I don't want to hurt anybody, and that's the thing. So Brody at that time saying that word,
this joke is much shorter than this story. Just so
I tell all of this on stage. I got a 1 hour special called "Why I Told the Gay Joke." I'm trying to give context because, like, you know what? At the beginning of the episode, I was just talking product placement. I'm talking goofy shit.
No, but
I just want, I want people to know what's in my heart. And at the end of the day, I'm somebody who loves everybody. I'm mortified, and I mean this, mortified, if I find out that something I said hurt someone, because that's not my intention ever, never to hurt. So to know that, like, I inadvertently hurt somebody breaks my heart, because that's not who I am. So when it came to Brody, he was like, this is gay. It's the first time I'd ever heard him say that, because I never said that shit around him. I don't think, like I said, I don't think I've ever used the word gay in a very, very long time. In fact, the only time it comes out of my mouth in that regard is telling the story, this joke. So I don't think he'd ever heard that from me. He's probably like 8 or 9 at the time. He's hearing words like that in school. And that's the thing with school, right? With kids, is they're going to hear fucking words. When people are like, he's 15, don't swear at him. I'm like, do you understand what they're saying when no one's around?
Internet as well.
Oh yeah. And we didn't have the internet at that age. Like it was just starting to come around. We were downloading our porn, like one line of picture at a time. Like, man, I'm like, how saggy are this bitch's tits? I'm trying to see them. The lower they hang, the longer it takes to see them. So all I'm saying is, he goes, this game's gay. All right, that's what happened. This is the story. He goes, this game is gay. And I go, what? And he goes, it's gay. And then he puts the controller down on the coffee table. And I go, dude, do you know what gay means? And like, I walked over, I'm like, dude, do you know what gay means? And I sat down next to him on the couch. He goes, is it sex? And I go, he knows what sex means. And I was like, well, kind of, but it's when 2 women have sex or 2 men have sex together. And he's like, does one woman put her, like, because he knows penis, vagina, right? Yeah. Penis goes in the vagina. Does one woman put her vagina in the other woman's vagina? And I was like, no. They kind of like bang them together. You know what I mean? Like, that's right. I wasn't like scissoring. Everyone's like, scissor. I'm like, no, they just bang. However the legs go, could be different moves.
Could be weird,
but they bang them together. Right. And he started giggling or whatever. And he's like, does one boy put his penis in the other boy's penis? And I was like, no, that's called schnoodling. And he's like laughing. He's like laughing. And I said, no, like one guy puts his penis in the other guy's butt. And he starts giggling. He's like, do they switch after? That's what he said. He goes, like, swear to God, like sitting face to face with me on the couch, we're talking. And he's like, do they switch after? I thought that was, and I laughed so hard because I never expected that. Yeah. But I thought it was so fucking funny.
Because the first thing he thinks of is equality in that.
Well, and that's the punchline of the joke. And I laughed. I did laugh very hard. Unexpected, right? Because I was in control of the conversation. I felt until that point when he switched it on me, caught me off guard. And I was like, oh my God, that's so fucking funny. And in my head, I was like, I didn't think the equality for a joke, you got to come up with an ending. But I just thought it was so fucking funny that when he found out what it was, he didn't go like, oh my God, does he get poop on it? Do they feel like Like, I know what I would have thought. I thought it was so funny that in his head, he's like, do they take turns? Does one guy get fucked in the ass and the other guy gets... And I thought it was so funny. And I remember I laughed. I got up off the couch and I immediately went upstairs and told Crystal the story. I think she was like in the bathroom, coming out of the bathroom at the time. And I was like, the funniest fucking thing just happened. I have to tell you.
You got to hear this shit.
I'm like, yeah, you got to hear this. And that was that joke. It was just like, it's like in a moment, because that's the thing as a parent is they're going to ask you questions. Like sometimes you're going to hear something and you're going to think that you have control of the situation. I'm going to, like, that's what I said. At the time, I'm like, I'm going to tell him that's not okay to say because some people are gay. Gay is, and those people.
Did it change his vocabulary? Does he?
No, he's a 15-year-old male now, who's not enlightened. As much as we'd all love to everyone to be enlightened or whatever. Sorry, he's not. He's a male. We all
I heard that.
Alphonic's going to get rid of it.
Alphonics will work.
Yeah, it's the greatest. So the whole idea with that was like,
no, pay us now.
Free membership. The funny thing is
Pay
like,
us too.
for all your listeners who may also have alphonic needs, do you have a podcast that you're not quite good enough at?
We're getting there, Josh. You
guys are fine. I use it too. All right, I'm fucking 2.5 years in. So I don't know. With that, his vocabulary, like, for a long time, he's a very sweet kid and he doesn't want to hurt anybody, but he's 15 and it's just like the amount of words and vocabularies and goofy shit they're thinking of. Yeah. They laugh. Like the word tits still makes them laugh, and
the words tits will still make me laugh.
The amount of male hormones that are going into his system now.
Man.
That's the thing too. Like it's almost like, when you figure something out and you're like, oh, I got to share this with the world. Like, I can't believe I just learned this. It's like other people. That's that old saying, when the student is ready, the master appears, is that like, yeah, when you're ready to learn something, that knowledge has always been there. It's just now you're ready to receive it. Now you're ready to take it in. And I feel like that's a whole world of people. I'm like, the more enlightened I get, the more this and that. I'm like, oh, I want to share. Like, don't be angry with each other. Try to put yourself, be empathetic. It's like other people aren't ready for that. You know what I mean? They still want to hate people and get mad and blame and all this other shit. So I don't know. As a parent, though, you kind of got to be like, okay, you got to be ready. You got to be on your fucking heels all the time, going like, all right, they just asked me a question. I'm going to answer it. And then you find out what their brain understood. And you're like, oh, fuck. Okay, hold on. No, back. Abort. Pull it back. Like, have you had any experiences like that, Chris, where they have a question, they say something, you're like, oh, fuck. Like, where you try to make it better and you make it worse?
I haven't had any of those quite yet.
Okay.
Well, la-dee-da, Mr. Dad of the Year.
I have my moments, don't get me wrong. The biggest thing I've had is getting them to swear properly in context and not outside the house.
Yep, that's what Brody used to say all the time. I go, Brody, when's it okay to swear? When it's in the right context. And I don't even know if he understood what that meant, but he answered the question right. It looks good on. It looks good in front of company.
Looks good on paper.
It looks good in front of company. Brody, when's it okay to swear? When it's in the right context. I taught him that.
And when the fuck is the right context?
So funny.
Little shit.
Yeah.
Well, Michaela, both Brody and Michaela were like, I don't really like to swear. And I was like, I like that. They're both swearing now. Michaela's still very good about it. She's 12. She likes to swear, but we were playing Werewolves Within on VR. So you're basically playing like the werewolf game. You know the one? Villagers and Werewolves.
I don't know.
It's a simple card game. It's a great party game where some people at the table are werewolves, some people at the table are villagers, and you're trying to find out who the werewolves are. It's a deception game.
Okay, and the werewolves are killing off the villagers?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But you got to try to figure out who the werewolves are.
Before everybody dies.
Exactly.
Leveled up.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I might have played this
You
once
can
or
play that. There's a VR version where you put on a helmet. Now you're sitting in the town with the other villagers. And so Michaela and I were playing. She loves that game. She loves Werewolf, the card game. She loves the VR version even well, because now you're playing with people across the world and you're trying to figure out who's what with
trying
whatever.
To kill me or
So she plays that. And the other day, she was in it and I was chatting too, so they can hear me on the mic as well, And one guy's sitting there, and he's like, I don't want to say, like, he's like, okay, careful guys, we don't want to swear too much. We've got like, and there's a little emote, so he points at her. He's like, we do have a young girl playing with us, whatever. And she goes, you guys can say whatever the fuck you want. I've heard it all. I'm like, I laughed so hard.
Oh, that's
I was
funny.
so unexpected because she doesn't
That's so quick,
she doesn't
though.
swear much.
So-
Oh yeah, she's like, you guys can say whatever the fuck you want. I was like, oh my god, that's so funny.
yeah.
It's so funny. So are you terrified yet? Oh, Chris has a question.
Sure, he's hell terrified. He was terrified. For
Your
a while
life
back,
is about
and
to
then-
change forever.
Yeah, man.
Forever.
I am absolutely terrified. Like, more terrified than excited right now.
Yeah. Do you have anxiety now?
I've been on like different anxiety meds since about the time we found out.
Oh, but not before?
No, I did have anxiety before. There was a lot of anxiety before, and I needed the meds long before I started them. But
Who's pulling this forward? Is
well,
that
you keep pulling it.
I know. I'm trying to bring it closer to me.
But then
I'm
it's
watching
gonna
the edge.
fall off.
I'm
Okay,
watching the edge,
okay.
dude. I'm a fucking neurotic idiot. I've got it. So you did have issues. I still have, I have issues with anxiety.
I actually I started having anxiety issues around the time that my ex-wife and I separated.
Okay.
And it was when I hated my job at the time. She left with very little explanation. We'd just bought a house together.
Yeah.
And then I went down and I did a weekend working at TIFF.
Toronto
as a publicist,
the
Toronto International Film Festival. Yeah. So I was there and we ended up doing like 16 to 18 hour days. Jesus. So like I was starting at like 8 in the morning and then I was working till the after parties were done at 4 a.m. Then I was fucking cabbing over to Kamal Diddage's house because Kamal was out of town. Conrad Osei was sleeping on his couch at the time.
Oh yeah.
So like I was like
sleeping. A lot of Ottawa comic references.
Yeah,
Sweden.
Just comics.
Google their names. You'll probably not find them.
You won't find them. And I was just crashing there, but I was only getting like 2 hours of sleep each night. And then I ended up having this panic attack on the last night. And I thought I was having a heart attack. So like I crawled into his bathroom and I just lay there in my boxers thinking I was going to die. And then I woke up the next morning and I felt okay, but
You passed out on the floor?
I passed out on the floor.
Okay.
And because I thought I was having a heart attack. And
you didn't call anybody or anything?
I couldn't talk. I couldn't find my phone. I literally.
So you would have if you felt.
I would have. I was trying to find my phone to call 911, but even at that point, like it was a nightmare. I came to the next morning, and when I went back to Ottawa, the first thing I did is I went to a doctor's, and I was like, something's going on. So lucky for me, the doctor I went to was an MD, but also a psychotherapist.
Right.
So she's like, I just had one opening open up in my practice. So I started working with her.
Oh, how convenient.
It was
like, I just found a way to take your money. Actually,
no, because
I'm joking.
She's a psychotherapist MD, so it's all OHIP.
Oh, for real?
I don't pay a cent.
Oh, can I have her? Can you?
Well, that's the thing.
Is
like
stop going and I'll take her. I need it. Joking.
It's so hard to find free therapy in Canada.
That's why we're all comedians, guys. Am I fucking wrong? Free therapy.
You're to an extent a therapist.
No, I'm a registered psychotherapist.
Yeah, and you can't help me because we're friends.
It would be a very big conflict of interest.
How so?
Huge.
For no, man.
Well, in all fairness,
it's like privacy laws and stuff like that.
What do you mean?
Well, I know so much about you, and
so?
we share circles together.
So.
No, it's too close.
It would.
No. But I mean, like, I'm not trying to force you into doing it. But in terms of to actually understand, how does knowing me make you a worse fit?
It's not about knowing you. It's about being involved in your life.
Yeah.
Right. You know me on a different level. Like, you know me to sit down and have a beer with me.
Right.
You know me to maybe even sit down and smoke a joint with me from time to time or something like that. But that's not something I would ever do with a client because that's stepping over a boundary because we're keeping very professional relationships around mindfulness, around codependency. We're not trying to set up.
But I almost feel, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything like that. But what I mean is, like, it's almost like you would have a better idea of who I am. It's almost like saying, like, okay, well, because
that's necessarily not going to change.
But I could also be biased too.
That was the only
like,
thing that I thought ahead of time. Like, so does that mean that you would see my life and go, oh, but Josh, you say this and that, but you also spend a lot of time drinking or whatever. But again, wouldn't that make the therapy better because you know more than I'm telling you? Because a psychotherapist can only work off of what you're telling them.
Professionally, professionally, you're too close to a job. Like, there's a reason I don't take professional jobs from families.
It would be
my family members.
But I think for that, and I agree with that. I wouldn't do trade stuff for family because then they're like, they want you to work for less, and they usually take advantage.
I also have an emotional connection with you, and if I'm now suddenly charging you $130 an hour to come and sit down and talk to me for an hour,
doesn't feel right.
That, like, for me, that's like if we're sitting down and we're talking and you're going through problems, like, talk to me and we can chat about shit, right? And like, I can give you my perspective. And I can sit down and listen to you and we can have a beer. Like, we talk about Simon on this podcast a lot. So like, my thing with Simon, because Simon died in my arms last week.
Yeah, man. Last episode, he legitimately, like, his computer shut down.
We've already talked about it.
You say that like his computer was ever running.
but that's the thing with Simon.
His computer shut down.
It's like when Simon goes through things.
The other prong on the plug died. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, like Data. Somebody switched him off.
So
but I was like when Simon.
Oh yeah, remind me to ask you about the gift basket because I don't want to talk about it. I'm And I'm like, what the fuck, Simon?
It was a thank you for saving your life.
That's what I even said to him before Chris showed up. I go, so what? Chris drove you to the hospital? Like, he's a fucking great dude. He's a great fucking dude. And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Simon's got like 3 more gift baskets in a room. Like, did you just get a good deal on gift baskets, Simon? And you're looking for reasons to give them out?
That wouldn't surprise me either. That wouldn't surprise me.
We can talk about it all.
And whoever saved Simon, I got a bone to pick with you. No, I'm
sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm just joking.
I sternum rubbed them.
What happened to him?
Well, we've already talked about it on the podcast, so we'll talk about it maybe
We'll
off
talk
air.
about it off the air.
Okay.
So,
But
yeah,
But whenever he's got issues, he'll give me a call and be like, "Hey, man," I'm like, "Hey, just buy me a beer. Let's go have a drink and let's have a chat."
Well, that's kind.
All right, this episode is going off the rails.
I'm having a great time. I hope you guys are too.
Of course.
Yeah.
I hope the listeners are.
Dude, oh yeah, are you kidding me? We're talking about fucking deep. When we went religion, LGBT, we're talking about some shit this episode. So, this one time Billy's fucking car broke and I super glued the wheel. Who gives a fuck about that? We talked about our mothers having boyfriends and gentlemen call. What about you? You fucking, my home was fine. I came from a perfect home. You didn't talk about any of your parental upbringing.
Well,
did you ever walk in on your parents having sex?
No, I've never walked in on my parents having
you've
sex.
lived a sheltered life. You were the white privileged guy at this table.
I really am.
I wouldn't feel comfortable charging a friend $130. You charge $130 for your advice?
It's not advice. Therapy isn't advice.
What is it?
Therapy's
You charge that to listen? I could plug this mic in, and this is my therapy every week. I get people who are listening to me talk about my shit for free every week. What is okay?
Go get the education. Get the education, and you can charge for it. All right?
Fuck! I don't want to charge for it. All I'm saying is, so is that what it is? Do you generally you listen? You don't offer advice. Do you listen?
It's listening and feedback, right? It's reflective listening. A lot of it is reflective listening. A lot of it is you don't want to work harder than the person you're working with because you're working at the same level that they are on their emotional journey or their own mental health or their mental wellness journey.
Okay.
you get in what you put out.
Yeah. You really do.
You make them put out.
Oh,
I'm just joking. You want to know what I think? Better take that shirt off.
Take that shirt off right now.
No, but I'm saying for me, I remember I went to a CODA meeting one time, and the whole
what the fuck is
codependency.
Oh,
so it's like codependence anonymous.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there and I was talking, and they can't say anything. They don't say anything. They just go, "Thanks for sharing." And my issue is not that I'm like, well, I have no problem getting people to listen to my shit. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like, I have no one who will listen. You know, I was just kind of like, okay, well, I don't want to. I already know what I have to say. I think about. I'm neurotic and anxious, so I think about that shit all the time. I know what my position is. I'm looking for tools. I'm looking for tools for things to do. So when it's like, well, I don't give advice. I listen.
My feedback is around setting them up with tools or action plans, depending on the situation. Because my background is working with youth with addiction. So it's a lot of change talk. It's a lot about working through the stages of change, making sure that you recognize where you are on that. And a lot of it is self-acceptance, right? So working on self-esteem, self-acceptance, working on validating emotions, all of that comes from feedback. So you listen, you hear, and then you reflect. And if you're on the right page, that's where you're able to give the feedback around, well, have we tried this? Have we tried grounding exercises? Have we tried breathing exercises? What works for you? There's some clients I work with around things like empathetic assertiveness where, you don't necessarily, you were talking about empathy earlier, right? And bringing it back to being assertive, but carrying a level of empathy with it. So it all depends on the individual's needs. So right now I'm working with a lot of youth, with suicidality.
That's a word?
Yeah, suicidality. Suicidal ideations.
Okay. It's what I understood is people who want to kill themselves.
Yeah. And a lot of it comes down to
do people plan, forgive me for asking, but just as a fascination, when somebody uses suicidality, do people generally pull the trigger quickly when they want to do suicide? For me, it's I don't want to live anymore. It doesn't feel like a thought. You're like, well, I better take 3 months to figure it out.
Well, it takes a long time.
But I get the feeling of I don't want to be here anymore.
It takes a long time for those feelings to build up to the point where it's I officially want to end it. Right.
Right.
So planning happens along the way. So planning.
But why would you plan something you don't want to do? That's the part that's.
But you
forgive me for asking. I don't ask it in
right?
a challenging way. I ask it in an understanding. If you're I think I want to kill myself. It's don't you? But when you start planning it, don't you have to pretty much be committed to it, or is it a cry for help?
It depends on the situation, right? Because it's like doing anything. You start to plan it before you necessarily doing a podcast, right? You start to plan.
Yeah, but your intention is to do it.
Your
That's what I'm saying.
is to
So
eventually
it's like,
do it,
right?
But when it comes to like suicidality, like I think of I'm not going to say his name, but one of my best friends has a number of suicidal ideations, and it would not surprise me if one day I just never heard from him again and found out that he had committed suicide. And it's sad to think about that, but I also know that over time, and he's working with a fantastic therapist who has been very, very good in addressing a lot of his needs and his concerns. But along this journey, there's been this build up to like, when I go, it's going to be like this. It's going to look like this. I'm not necessarily ready now. And the fact that there's a potential plan in place is very worrisome to me. So when we talk to each other, and I've got assist training, which is suicidal prevention training.
Right. Is it particularly effective? Like when somebody has decided they're doing it, like that's, I don't know. I'm fascinated. So I don't ask the questions. Like I'm not trying to mock in any way. I know we're big stroking and stuff, but
we also have to take into effect like what mental unwellness or mental illnesses might be at play. So like, someone with borderline personality disorder or borderline personality traits are very impulsive.
Right.
So they might have a plan, but they're not going to act on it until an impulsive moment comes.
Right.
Someone with manic depression, they might have a plan in place, but the motivation to actually commit to it is not there until the worst moment, rock bottom. So once you hear of a plan, that's where you have to do an intervention. Okay. If I have a client that comes to me and says they have a plan,
is it pretty successful rates of being able to talk someone into suicide once they've decided they're going to?
Well, I can't speak for like I don't have those numbers in front of me.
No, I don't. I know, but I'm just saying like, but
I've never had a client who's had suicidal ideations actually commit suicide. I've had clients who have been admitted to the hospital after suicide attempts.
Right, of course. But you didn't know it was about to happen.
But like anytime that any real admission or threat has come out of like suicidality, I will bring in ambulance right away. I will bring in medical professionals because I have a legal responsibility to do so. But also, like, if there's not a real plan in place, but it's just like ruminations, let's build an action plan to keep you safe. So these dark passenger thoughts are coming along and suddenly you're starting to feel impulsive. What are the steps that you can take to keep yourself safe in that moment?
Right.
And how are you going to be able to get yourself into the mind frame of keeping yourself safe?
But and I'm not trying to keep the conversation on that, but I find it interesting. It's like if someone has decided they're doing it, do they even want, like, how it is? Like, it's like trying to convince someone to listen to the concept of LGBT who's like narrow-minded and ignorant. It's like if you're like, I want to kill myself, and you're like, okay, but here, try to think like, no, I don't care. I want to do this.
The way that I look at it, if you are telling me this,
right,
it is, you might even be denying that it is any sort of cry for help or any sort of call out for assistance or support. But I would say the fact that you are adamant that you're going to do this, but you're telling me this, shows that you're not 100% adamant that you're going to do this.
That's fair.
You're looking at somebody
that makes sense.
In for a penny, in for a pound at this point.
You're looking at somebody who you know what they do for a living. Mental health counseling and addiction therapy and all that stuff. Like, my background. Most of my people know my background. If you're saying that to me, I know your intention is like, I need help.
No, that makes sense. I guess I'm thinking like you have a client and just all of a sudden one day they start saying, I'm having these thoughts. Like, so it's not so much that, obviously the people who want to do it, I would imagine who are really serious about it they're just making the attempt.
I am absolutely, and here's the thing is I work with a lot of youth. I'm absolutely terrified of my daughter being like having suicidal ideations or depression or like any of those. And it's
it's tough because that's the world we live in.
It's the world we live in. And also like we live in this world of just constant dopamine, right? Dopamine and serotonin at every turn.
Well, we get it from social media. Getting a new like or whatever is like, oh, someone like, and that's like that little drip.
It validates you, right? Yeah. That little drip validates you. And it's terrifying to think of what that's actively going to do to the development.
Chris is still here, everybody, by the way.
Yeah, sorry,
just a heads up. Chris is still here.
Chris has gone super deep in his own headspace.
Have you really?
Oh, yeah.
Are you okay?
Oh, I'm fine.
Okay, good. I love you. I want you to be a part of this.
He was like standing up at one point, and then he was taking.
He was looking at his cuticles. I was like, does he care? But
no,
I just wanted to be involved.
No, I do. It just.
Have you? I'm sorry. Is this a personal subject?
Home, isn't it?
Just this is really close.
I'm
to
sorry, brother.
what happened
I apologize.
this week with someone I know and love. So that's.
Oh, I'm
it's-
sorry, buddy. I didn't know. I wouldn't
No,
have.
what you
I
did,
apologize.
you don't carry a banner around with it.
No, but again,
Look at this
but this is an example of what I'm. That's hilarious that you guys have a chant. the only cheerleading thing you guys have on the show is trauma. That's fucking hilarious. But that's what I was saying earlier about how like I would never dream of hurting someone. I was fascinated by what you do. I didn't realize that I would be hurting you and asking. And I'm very sorry because
it's actually very informative because it's informative because it helps me deal with a situation that I will have to deal with it right after this.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Well, I'm good.
Okay, I gave him some tissues if he needs.
No, that's paper towel. You misleading product placement. Fuck.
Until Kleenex pays me money.
It's an interesting thing to me because like I've seen that like in the world we live in today. Yes, there's the dopamine that you get from social media, not to mention the fact that we're constantly being bombarded. Like if you're on social media, you are looking at the demo reel of everybody's life. Yeah, so no one's like in the middle of a domestic dispute, whipping out their phone and like filming, screaming at the husband or wife. It's all, hey, look, here we are on the beaches. This. So everybody's constantly looking at everyone else's life and going, look how happy all of these people are. Why am I not happy? It immediately makes you feel like a failure. On top of that, the education system, from the best of my understanding, and from what I've seen as a step parent, and trying to get back on topic of this whole fucking podcast, is you see like in schools, like nobody gets held back anymore. Nobody gets marked with red pens. And that's a real thing, by the way. People think that's a hoax. It's a real thing. No red pens. Everyone gets a participation medal for joining any sports. Like you go through the first, 16, 17 years of your life incapable of failure. And then it's like, all right, now off into the world. We've prepped you for the world. No, you haven't, because the world is full of rejection, failure, not getting what you want, all your
red pens.
And and then all of a sudden people are like, wow, the world sucks. It's scary and dangerous out here. I want to kill myself. I don't want to be alive anymore because it's horrible. I've heard that the suicide rates in youth have gone up because they're in a culture now. Like, here's the idea is that the schools and the parents and none of these people want to be responsible for the bad feelings. I don't want to get in trouble. So all the kids are happy going through whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then when the real world hits, they're not ready for it because they haven't experienced failure, mistakes. And
Here's
just everything they've done.
You haven't really learned how to swim. Enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. So as a parent, like you're like, oh, I'm worried my daughter. That's the thing. That's where you're going to come in extra hard. Chris and Amanda are amazing parents.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're like, it's tough, man. Crystal's an amazing parent, but there's still those moments. Like that's what really sucks about being a parent. This whole podcast, Daddy Issues, is, and especially as males or those who choose to identify as such, is that you want to protect your family, your partner, and your kids. And the truth about the world is you can't protect them all the time. It's like people in their own lives who have issues with control. You know, I need to make sure that this happens, and I need to make sure. And that's the thing with life is you can't control it. It happens, and you need to be able to adapt. You can't control. It's the same with your kids. Once you put them on the bus, you're like, well, fuck, are they going to get to school safe? Or I got to make sure that. And you can't. And it's a fucking terrifying. It's terrifying, but that's life. And it's one of those things. It's like, that's the price that you pay for all of the great experiences and things too.
Yeah, there is a price tag for everything.
Yeah.
This has been a pretty good one here, guys.
Wrapping it up, Chris.
I think we need to wrap it up.
No worries. Listen, I've had a great time. I hope we talked about parenting stuff.
We have.
Can we like, so one of the things that we've actually kind of been doing to wrap up each of our conversations is like final thoughts from you. Like what are some of the biggest
pull
lessons
out?
That was the last episode. We did have an ad about pulling out.
That's it.
Oh, really?
Our major sponsorship was last week.
Pulling out.
Just
pulling out.
Nice.
Just pull out.
Because
Huggies pullouts.
That's at the Catholic
we're
Church.
gonna bleep out the hug. Oh.
Yeah, you said it too. Keep saying Huggies.
Anyways,
just giving you more work. That's why I don't edit my podcast. Fuck it, I said it. Whatever.
All I want to hear from you is like, all I want to hear. Stop talking. Just stop. No. What are your, like, if you could sum up the advice that you have to give to dads out there, stepdads or dads or both, in like 2 to 3 sentences, what would that advice be?
I don't know, be patient. You know, if you want your kids to think for themselves, give them both sides of everything. Don't give them your side, and not give them both sides and then tell them your side. Just give them both sides. If you want someone to think for themselves. Yeah, we're all out there just trying to figure out life. Your kids are going to do the same. You're doing the same. Forgive yourself for making mistakes, you know, because you're going to make them. So don't be afraid of the mistakes. Just forgive yourself. But, you know, I don't know. Set them up for the world that's coming, you know. And who knows? Fuck, 15 years ago, I didn't know where we'd be at right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, and here's the thing: they're gonna be kids. They're gonna say stupid things. They're gonna do stupid things. They're gonna get hurt. They're gonna trip and fall. They're gonna cry. They're gonna laugh. I mean, it's just one of those things. Just love them, man. What am I, Oprah?
You get a car. You get a car.
Just love them, man. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. There's no right way to do it.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. That's my advice. There's no right way to do it. So the more you try to find that and go like, oh, I found, no, you didn't.
Just do it.
Yeah. And anyone who tells you there's a right way, don't listen to that person because they're a fucking idiot.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. There's a million wrong ways to do it. There's no right way. So just find the least wrong way. Don't put your fingers in them. All right. They're not bowling balls, you priest fuckers.
where can people find you online?
I don't know. onemanpodcast.com. That's where the podcast is. You know, Josh Williams comedy for just about everything else. Just, I don't know.
Got any big shows coming up?
This episode drops in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So
drops. Fucking rap album. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to get it to Halifax. I'm in the process of booking myself out east. I have a very big East Coast listenership.
All right. We do have.
I'm in Toronto. This comes out in 2 weeks. When this drops, I'm probably in Toronto for like 2 weeks. So I'm at Absolute Comedy in Toronto. Come see me there.
Yeah, come see me down.
And then whatever. Just figure it out. Listen, I'll bug these guys to plug it.
All right.
I'm doing something. You guys are the best. Listen, I love you guys. Don't quit. Listeners, give them feedback. Like send them. Do you guys have an email address?
Yeah. We got daddyissues@gmail.com.
You don't even have a URL?
Well, we are using Podbean. We got a URL through Podbean.
No, I'm not a URL. Well, no, yeah, URL. You have a Podbean. No, but you don't have like we got daddyissues.com.
No.
Because you could be like, you know, Chris at, Matt at.
Yeah, we'll get there.
People
could. Right now, we're at we got daddyissues@gmail.com. Okay,
well, send them. Listen, listeners, send them information, send them feedback, send them questions. If you have questions, ask them. There's nothing funnier than answering a question. At least they know you want to know what the answer is.
But don't send nudes.
Well, send nudes.
Send whatever you can.
All right.
Yeah, don't ask Matt too deep a question. He'll charge you $130 an hour.
On that note, thanks for coming by, Josh.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time for parenting advice with Stripper Mom and Uncle Freddy.
This week's question: Dear Stripper Mom and Uncle Freddy, my wife wants to breastfeed in public. I don't feel comfortable with that. How do I deal with the situation? Mark from Mississauga.
Once again, another one of your valid listeners coming in with their male worries about something some woman has to endure.
Hey, this is why we do the podcast.
This is it. Your daddy issues are, it's not all about you, you selfish fucks. Okay? I'm so tired of these questions. Oh, once again. Mark. Oh, you're embarrassed. Really? She's the one who has to whip a tit out. Not you, Mark. Not you. Did you squeeze anything out of your asshole like a 9-pound bowling ball? No, you didn't, Mark. No, who did? It was your wife, and God bless her. So you know what? Here's 2 things you can do to make the experience a little better for your wife and your child, Mark, who gives a fuck about your embarrassment. Always have on hand a nice shoulder cover so she doesn't have to be fully exposed. And 2, sit there and talk to her like she's the most beautiful, important woman on earth. And 3, here's another one. 3, maybe go into a mall with your baby and no shirt on and see how it feels, and then maybe you'll appreciate her a little bit. Mark, do those things or I'll find you, Mark. I know where you live. You hear me.
A little bit of understanding and some public embarrassment. Very good. Uncle Freddy.
So let me get this straight. This guy has a wife. She wants to breastfeed in public, and he's got an issue with it.
That's what the question says. Yes.
What the fuck? I first of all, you're lucky enough to have a wife, mister.
He's the Tucker Carlson of husbands.
Okay, well, sure.
What does that mean? He's choking her out with a little bow tie. And he doesn't tip waitresses? Come on. What? Tucka, you know who I am. You see me, you hear me.
So, yeah, no, like, it's, no, like, first, yeah, you got a wife, man, you got a kid, like, come on, some of us aren't that lucky. Some of us really just are kind of going through day to day, hoping that, you know, we don't wake up in the morning, and here you are bitching like a fucking moron. Get yourself your own titties to worry about, and let her fucking flop those things out and feed her kid. Like, you know. And I also would like to know which park it is that she plans on doing this in.
Thank you, Uncle Freddy. This has been Parenting Advice with Stripper Mom and Uncle Freddy.
So I was standing in line the other day at the bank, and, well, I thought it was the line. So I asked the person in front of me, hey, is this the line? And she was like, I think so. I should ask the person in front of me. So she taps that person on the shoulder. She's like, hey, is this the line? And he was like, I think so.
Have you ever had a conversation that just goes on and on and on?
And so then she came back to me and goes, well, he thinks so. And then that was convenient because the guy came beside me and he was like, hey, is this the line? And I was like, well, they think so, so I think so.
Have you ever wanted that conversation to end sometime violently?
And then a new guy came in. He's like, hey, guys, this looks like a really long line. Are we sure that this is the right line? It's not normally this long here.
Myco proudly presents the new invention called the Conversation Stopper Box.
What's in the box?
The box meets 20 random physical ways to end a conversation. Simply place the box on the ground and touch the button and then run like hell.
Wait, why didn't we just run away and not end this violently? Oh my god, bees! Bees! There are so many bees!
Why is there mace in my eyes? Ah, the mace!
Did Reggie just get kicked in the nuts?
Is this thing a taser? Oh my god, it's a taser!
By Micah.
Myco.
And therapy. A legitimate hour of procrastination. Hold on. I just pressed record.
Okay, good time. Thank you for coming back, everyone. Wasn't that a conversation?
Well, you know what? They've probably heard a few ads and maybe a Stripper Mom and Freddy, Uncle Freddy at this point.
That's right.
So it's not like, you know, they've had their palate cleanser. We don't need to.
We're not going to hash that again.
No.
Well, in fact, we're going to get right into what did we learn this week?
No. We start with our Dick of the Week.
Right.
Dick of the Week.
Dick of the Week.
It's the time for our Dick of the Week. What is our Dick of the Week, Christopher?
Our Dick of the Week goes out to Chance the Rapper.
And the Dick of the Week is not a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
Good thing. This is our Dad of the Week.
Dad of the Week.
Dad of the Week. Chance the Rapper this week. Chance the Rapper just postponed his tour. And
because
his wife just had another little baby. Right?
We applaud you.
Yeah, take that time. Take that time for you and your family. That's important. I was just talking about, but in the intro,
off the hop in the intro, we were just mentioning.
We were kind of mentioning.
If you get that chance to do it, and
you know what, your fans, if they really truly understand, can wait. I love Chance the Rapper.
I have never heard anything he does.
He is in my top 3 for hip hop artists today.
I am going to have to listen to him.
It goes Childish Gambino.
Okay.
You know Childish.
Yeah, Childish.
Everybody knows Childish Gambino. Chance the Rapper.
Yep.
Acid Rap Coloring Book. Fantastic mixtapes.
Okay.
I've actually got a coloring book coming to me on vinyl. I pre-ordered it when I found out it's coming out. It's kind of like acid rap meets gospel. Fucking love it.
Wow.
And then underneath that, Anderson .Paak.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Solid 3. He's coming to town. I really wanted to go and see him, eh? He's coming to town at the beginning of October. Do you know how much the general admission floor seats were for him?
I believe you mentioned $150.
$175.
Oh!
$175. Like, I really had to question, do I $175 love Chance the Rapper?
He chanced to pickpocketed everybody.
And I don't.
No.
Well, and
you do.
You do.
But at least this hiatus now is going to give you that opportunity.
Yeah, so because obviously this is happening right as the time as I'm going back to work.
Yeah.
And, I've been on EI for the last... My cat just wandered in here, I'm sorry. I've been on EI for the last little bit, so I can't afford it right now, but this gives me time to be able to afford it. Because I'm not going to a Chance the Rapper concert and sitting in the nosebleeds.
No.
No.
Why would you do that?
So I'm excited about that. So 2 reasons. Chance the Rapper, Dick of the Week, is you're postponing your tour so I can go to it. Yeah. And also, good looking out on your family.
Yeah, man. Good on you.
He'd mentioned before that like when he had his first kid, he was out on tour and like doing a lot of stuff.
He didn't get that time.
It really impacted his... Oh, the cat was already in the room. He was sleeping under the coffee table.
Wow.
He was locked in the room. He wanted out. Anyways, we're distracted. That's our Dick of the Week. Congratulations, Chance the Rapper. We'll send you your medal in the mail.
That's right. There's no medal coming.
No, maybe some spicy nuggets from Wendy's, though.
I can send you vegetables. No, I can't send those across the border.
No, but we can send him an eggplant emoji.
That's right.
Eggplant emoji, Chance the Rapper. Eggplant emoji. What'd you learn this week, Chris?
That kids and everybody has a little bit of a different learning style, and you have to really work with your kids to find out what kind of style they need to learn in. And I found that with Eddie this week. It's I can't really explain it in full length, but I know when I've trained apprentices in the past, there are certain ways to put things past certain people and certain types of personalities that allow them to pick up information properly. So, I learned the learning style of my son this week.
Can you go into what the learning style of your son is? Like
the learning style.
This is why we do this podcast,
yeah,
right? Just
sure.
to learn from other dads and shit.
Yeah, fair enough. So I let him pick. We basically worked in a pattern from right to left for the first enunciation of all these French beginnings of words and letters, and then after that he would basically, I would start it and he would follow my lead to make him feel more comfortable, as opposed to him saying, "What is this?" and putting him on the spot.
Okay.
I kind of fell on the grenade first and went, "This is it, mimic me. This is it, mimic me." And then once we've gone through the whole page, I let him choose where we're going to start next.
So he's able to recognize it after doing the mimicking?
Yes.
Because like there's one way to create mimicking, but you also want to install the learning. Right? So that way
I'm also pointing at what we're at, and then after we're done the mimicking, I'm like, what letters were those?
Okay.
Right? What letters were
So you're
those?
able to go back and quiz him on the mimicking.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's cool. I like
Mimic
that.
it first, and then he can do the letters. I could ask him which ones these were.
Yeah.
And then ask him the sound again. And then we do the next column.
Okay. Now, do you and Amanda have different like teaching styles when it comes to like helping with homework?
Yeah, Amanda's very much more, this is it. Do this now. She just
like she gives the answers?
No, not she gives the answers, that she just kind of, she doesn't have the patience. She even said it herself. She's like, I don't have the patience to teach you like your dad can. I can just get you to, we can review stuff in the morning and show me what you and your dad basically kind of did. But she doesn't, she gets very frustrated, and that's like her learned behavior from her father, right? So that she just kind of doesn't have anything else to go on at this point in time. And I've trained apprentices and mentored them, and so everybody's a little bit different, but the base of being able to figure out what that person and how that person will accept knowledge is critical.
Okay.
So I'm glad to be able to get it with my kids.
Nice.
Well, the one anyway.
Nice.
For now.
Yeah. I learned something much simpler.
Yes?
Yeah.
What was that?
When you're doing a 3 a.m. feed, turn on the goddamn lights.
I almost lost beer on my nose.
I stubbed. This is the episode where the computer drank a beer.
That's
so,
right.
Like, let's be careful here.
Our drinks are all on the floor.
Our drinks are on the floor. I stubbed my toe so hard that I broke it.
Oh,
and so it's like the middle toe of my left foot, the third toe, and now like the head of it is like slightly tilted to the left. It's like inflamed underneath.
You got Beyonce toe
underneath
to the left.
That's awful.
That's horrible. What a diva toe.
Underneath the nail, it was all bruised and bloodied. And then down the toe, like down the joints of the toe and into the foot, it was all bruised. And
you snapped that good.
So like I'm at the point where the bruising has gone away, but I can now feel it every time I take a step. So I'm limping everywhere.
I've had a foot injury, man. I don't pay that. That's horrible.
And your foot injury had to do with your dad, but it's probably not the time to bring it up.
No, definitely not.
We'll talk
later about that.
Yeah, well, when we go deep into the mind of Christopher and the psyche of Christopher, we will talk about that foot injury because that foot injury comes up today.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, that's what I learned.
Turn the light fucking on, and learning styles are different.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. I hear a lot of people. They reach out to me in my DMs. They're sliding into my DMs, my friends and family, and they're saying that they're listening to the episodes and they're really liking them and that they think that they're really funny. If you're one of those people and you're listening to this, please like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. More importantly than that, give us a rate on iTunes. Give us a rate on wherever you listen to your podcast. Go give us a rate on Facebook. Preferably 5 stars, but give us what you feel we're worth, right?
5 stars.
And adjust it accordingly.
5 stars.
5 stars. We love you guys a lot. There's been a lot of really great feedback, and you guys have been fantastic. So please,
keep it coming.
Yeah, we're on Twitter at We Got Dad Issues.
Yeah, We Got Dad Issues.
We Got Dad Issues.
Facebook at We Got Daddy Issues.
Or you can just type in Daddy Issues with Champ Kingsbury.
Yeah.
The W's with a slash, and then they're an ampersand because we're spelling out dick, right? It's an acrostic poem.
It's an acrostic. Yeah.
Daddy Issues with Champ and Kingsbury. I think we explained that in the last minute.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Anyway, and also on Insta.
We Got Daddy Issues.
We Got Daddy Issues.
And you can send us an email too. We Got Daddy Issues at gmail.com. You can send us love. You can send us hate. You can send us suggestions or feedback. If you're a beer company or you like to drink beer, suggest beer, send us beer. We'll promo the shit out of you. We do have listeners all over the world.
That's right.
India.
Sweden. Oh, right. India, Sweden. Finland.
Chile.
And
Argentina.
Argentina. That's right.
There's Indonesia. I don't know. Anyways, we love all of you.
Thank you.
Love us back. My cat is now in the litter box in the next room. You might hear like a little bit of a...
He's like, end this shit, yo. Literally, end this shit.
Wrap it up. We need a party box.
Yeah, party box. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Daddy Issues with Champ and Kingsbury was created by Matthew Champ and Chris Kingsbury. It's edited by Matthew Champ.
Special thanks goes out to Heather Hurst, Freddy Jones, Daryl Walwork for fixing our MacBook, and Jacob Pollack for the awesome music. See y'all next week.
Bye.